We did it!
We did it!
Guys, the show is actually happening.
Welcome to Greatest League Talkshow, a show only topped by its quality in its production value. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the number one analysis show on my channel.
The number one analysis show anywhere.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen that much anymore.
Yeah, they were like the only one left.
But we were so dominant during our time that like we only need to show up every once in a while to remind people.
Exactly. And it's, the name speaks for itself. Also, for people who are asking, Josh is pretty sure at work.
Yeah, he works at Riot full time. So
he actually can't help us. So if there are production faults,
still blame Josh.
Yes.
He didn't set it up before leaving.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, you just left with me and him. And that's it.
And I was sleeping until 1:30.
Yeah, I was watching games until 1:30. So we've both been kind of backlogged. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while.
So what have you been up to, man? I
have been doing nothing but streaming. So my life is just the same. It's like the grind.
But you moved.
Actually, you know what? That is a big deal. Like, we moved into a new place, and I've been slowly realizing how many problems come with moving. The AC is so loud to be heard on my stream. So, like, when I stream, I have to tell people that they can't have the AC on the middle floor or the basement because it reverberates into my room at the very top floor.
Yikes.
We've had, water pressure problems. We have, my toilet has a bidet that doesn't have a socket, so I can't use it. It's just an extravagant toilet seat. That's my biggest problem.
That's the funniest thing over there is all the toilet seats look like you're gonna go get into a cockpit of a mech. And you have all these buttons around you. I was like, what do you need all that for?
Dude, it's we're cultured now.
I heard Fed talking about how great bidets are. I haven't tried one.
I would say that it's very much an Asian thing. Whenever you go to any of the Asian countries, the bidets are sometimes just in the hotels for you.
Yeah.
But they're really nice. I wouldn't know off this one though, because it doesn't. There's no thing.
You haven't shit in anyone's bathroom? Anyone else's?
No, I have to literally buy an extension cord for my bidet because it doesn't reach anywhere.
Yeah, but other people's bidets work.
I'm not gonna walk into Pokey's restroom and be like, Pokey, you can't use this for a little bit. I gotta enjoy myself. That's kind of.
I don't know. If it's a bit of a novelty, I'd probably try it once. Let's get this arrow out of here so people aren't confused why we're not talking about
right.
EVOS. Yeah, bidets are European.
Sorry. That's what I meant to say.
It's just everywhere but America.
Yeah, kind of like, our group stage. Oh, man. I love MSI, dude.
I love NA.
International events are just they'll bring you to the brink. You're just you go in and you're just you know what? I don't care about NA. It's cool. No expectations. It's sick. They start losing. You're I expected this. Cool. And then they start winning. You're just 2-0. That's okay.
I think at least we're not embarrassing ourselves.
Yeah, it's all right. Slight recovery, and then they start going even better. It's you're winning 4 games. Oh, this is getting close. There's a possible chance, and on that chance,
it's crazy that a team can disappoint you twice in a group stage without actually succeeding.
Yeah.
They come out there and it's oh man, we look like shit. And then they don't just win a little bit so we don't look like quite as much shit. They actually give us hope, and then we lose again just to make sure we don't actually have anything to say back to EU.
Yeah, me and Mark were talking about this before the show. It's incredible if before the show I told you guys, hey, NA doesn't get through based on tiebreakers into the group stage. Most of you guys would be like, you know what? That's okay. That's somewhat reasonable. All right, I can see it. But now after you guys have experienced it, you guys are that's bullshit. NA is a shit region. They deserve to be in wild cards.
Chat, how many of you guys watched it live? Because I watched it live.
No one had that much faith. Oh, actually, maybe the tiebreak, yes.
Because the tiebreak was so early.
Yeah. It was 9 a.m.
Wow, a lot of people in chat actually watched this shit live. That's pretty surprising.
Yes. I missed it, except for the very, very end. Just in time to see Fnatic shitstomp Team TL. And the worst thing is, you're thinking to yourself, maybe Doublelift can carry this, and then the cancel comes in. You're just you know what? Forget I said anything, guys.
We'll get into that in a second. I watched all the games live. I stayed up every night. My sleep schedule is wrecked, but I don't mind. You watched them on VODs?
Yes. It was actually miserable to watch them on VODs because, to be honest, if I was not an NA fan, like let's say I'm just a fan of good games or like good upsets, you know, this MSI is one of the best results. Period.
Yeah.
I would say you're coming to this MSI, you're just like, oh my god, Flash Wolves, they're doing kind of good. Oh my god, Caps, you make Europe look pretty good, and then you start to develop stuff like, oh my god, you know, Stark is doing some good stuff for EVS here. You got like, you know, Maple's still a killer over here. You got this place. Oh, RNG still can't use Karsa. Okay, well, you just keep moving on. Like maybe they'll use them this game. Nah, not this game. And then, like, there's a lot to talk about in this MSI. And the results are really like, very, very high highs and then low lows. And just day by day, like, the emotional shift.
The story for each team changed, like, at least once for the tournament. Like, maybe twice, because there's, like, the pre-tournament expectations and then what actually happened.
Exactly. And, like, the meta shifted as well during the middle of the tournament, too. So there was a lot of really cool things to talk about. Like, even watching the VODs, I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good event. And I didn't run on, like, normal time and you just, like, tack it all away and say this is Worlds. I would have probably been like, this was a great group stage.
Yeah. We have to see about actual knockout stage. That's when, like, Korea's like, hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah, usually in best subs, Korea just, like, smacks people. But, you know, I think that I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that they're not going to win. They will probably win, but it might be closer this time.
I'm going to keep hyping them up and hope that they lose.
Off the back of con, maybe we'll see.
People are saying that it's focused on the mic. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'll double check to see if this is, but remember we always used to get that? People were always like, it's focused on the mic. It's like, no, it's just a shitty webcam that like can't focus correctly.
Don't worry about it, man. If it's focused on the mic, it's focused on the most important part. I'm not here for you guys to see me.
Is that better?
I don't look good today, man. I don't look good any day. You guys are supposed to listen to the sound of my voice and feel great about that.
Yeah, I mean, this video doesn't really matter for this show. Just eye candy, window dressing.
Yeah, exactly. The important thing is this and what comes out of it.
And this. What comes out of this.
Right, but like into that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about the tournament? Mm-hmm. Thoughts on the venue?
I think the best description was, it looks like it could be held in the LCS stadium in NA. And I'm like, you know what? They're right.
It is the Europe version of it.
They're going to another venue, right? For the
they're going to
Paris, right?
Paris, yeah. And I don't know.
You know what? I'm okay with it. I don't even think the players super care much about it. Maybe they do, but I think that as long as the end round is on like a nice stage, it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much I agree with that. Like, you have literally 2 international competitions a year that have any significance. This is one of them, and you stick so far like 80% of it in the EU LCS studio.
Okay, you know what? I think
Premier Esports.
Now that I think about it, you're right. If MSI was held in China, 100%, you know, they go fucking balls to the walls in China.
Yeah,
they would probably rent out this stupid ass big ass stadium, and Uzi fans alone could have filled it.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened? What made it so weird for RNG? Usually they can't like shake the fans their fans' hands.
Oh yeah.
Because there's too many of them. But in this studio, like they don't have that problem, because it's like, dude, in their actual games, their stadium is just like, I think 4 times as big, completely packed on every
yeah.
game.
It's fucking crazy. They have cheerleaders and shit.
Yeah, which apparently only know like a couple routines, but like, you know, it's a start. Where are my cheerleaders, dude? I want Team Liquid cheerleaders. Steve's got a lot of fucking money. You're obviously spending it, maybe not a lot on your team. I want it on cheerleaders, dude.
Not a lot on Team Liquid?
Okay, maybe maybe not in the future. You know, maybe something will open up to where throw that to cheerleaders.
Yeah. I mean, the whole like, I don't know, spectacle of it, because it was so late at night. I don't think I cared, because I was already just like, ugh. And half people are in the West are watching on VODs anyways for like NA fans. So, like, I get it where it's like, hey, it doesn't really matter because you're skipping through a lot of this stuff. But like,
I'm sure like people who are the time zone's meant for China, right? Because Chinese fans are probably, or Asian fans are probably like 80% plus of the viewers, and like they're watching this show. It looks in some dinky studio, and they're just like, the fuck? I wanted Uzi to win on like a nice stage, you know? Probably a little bit upset.
Yeah, I could see that. Anything else from the event that stood out to you besides getting into gameplay?
Well, I want to say this clearly before we go in. I did not watch any of the play-in stage. So if you're any comments about the effectiveness of Gambit or like any of those guys, I'm sorry I didn't watch it. And that's just all I have to say on that.
I watched only the best of fives from it. So I watched EVOS versus Supermassive and Gambit versus Flash Wolves. And both those were stomps.
Yeah, I wasn't personally invested enough to be able to care about that. And I wanted to just kind of talk about, you know, the only section that NA gets to play. Apparently, it's also true this year.
Yeah, that's also why Greatest League Talkshow probably isn't doing a knockout stage one.
Yeah, there's a good. I don't know if there will be. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that at the tail end.
Okay.
Let's see how the show feels before we go on.
Yeah, it's just a train wreck, and it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't.
Okay. I'm down. You want to start? You want to start out the easy one?
Yeah, let's get things going.
All
kick things off with the only team that you really can't argue about their placing to some degree.
This arrow's a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like
it like
all that
just
snapping.
hops. What the?
Is there like a feature?
Okay, so before we get into these, I should probably say there were 30 games to cover. We're not going to cover individual games. If this was a best of 5, we could do that. But in a 30-game group stage, we're just covering the teams, and we'll talk about maybe specific games here and there because it's actually just impossible.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where, like, unless we were doing these daily, even then.
Even on a daily basis, it's like so difficult, but possible, I guess, to cover. It's possible to cover 6 games a day. But
yeah,
one game to cover 30 games... One day to cover 30 games is impossible. So we'll just go back to
we used to do 12 games at least, remember?
Yeah.
Dual stream, best of
But
3.
those were like so hard that we'd come in and I'd be like, I didn't watch this game, did you? Like, and you're like, yeah, I watched it a little bit.
We're like flipping through notes like, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly. So I think that... Okay, let's talk about EVS.
All right, so the Vietnam team, they looked like the worst team there. I don't think it was arguable.
Yes. I want to say it's... Okay, I'm going to start out with the positive stuff.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's...
Okay, so positive stuff. I watched a lot of their games. Because I think generally I watch about 90% of the games. So I missed about 2. So the thing that I have to say, the great stuff I have to say is Stark is a god on this team. So he's the reason stuff gets going. He's the reason that like plays happen. He's commonly put on like initiation champions or champions that can make plays. You see Kennen, you see Ornn. And he does it, and he steps up all the time. Sure, sometimes he gives away a ton of CS for no reason. But without him, this team would not be able to make plays. That's my honest opinion.
I mean, the only other person who really makes plays is Yijin, their jungler. And he makes plays like the, I'm going to get into a random fight play. It's not like a setup, like, flank thing. It's like, I'm Graves, and I walked into the jungle. Hope this goes well.
He's, like, considered to be a mechanical carry-oriented jungler. So he plays a lot of Kha'Zix, plays a lot of Graves. And, you know, without, like, Stark there to be able to set up the fight, he's just setting it up by running in. And I guess that's not really set up.
No. And, like, in this team, they're still erratic. So, like, Yijin's their second-best player, probably behind Stark. And he's pretty hit or miss. What do you say, Slay?
Oh, maybe. Like, okay, look, just throwing it out there, their support's not very good.
No, Ronald P... No.
Their support's not very good.
Don't get me started. We will start on the mid laner in a second here, but Warzone is like, whoa.
Maybe that guy's not very good too. But yeah, you know what? Second best player, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
the jungler.
Yeah, so their second best player is probably their jungler, and even he is like super erratic.
Yes.
And like he will coin flip, lose you a game.
That one game that sticks out to me is when he played against, I think it was Fnatic. He was playing Kha'Zix to Skarner.
Yeah.
Was it Fnatic?
I forget.
I think it was...
This is the one with the mid collapse thing. Oh my god. Right?
It was the one where he literally farms Wraith camps and the Skarner runs in.
Oh, and just ease him.
Flash autos and kills him. I'm just like, this is the dumbest game of my life. Yeah. After that play, the jungle and the mid lane run by and get a double kill bot lane. I'm just like, okay, the game's over in 5 minutes. Yeah. It was actually Oh, it's Flash Wolves. Oh God, yeah, it was a Flash Wolves game. Because when I watched this game, I was like, okay, there's nothing they can do. So that Flash Wolves game took all of 8 minutes to close out.
Yeah. So that's your second best player sometimes trolling you.
Yes.
So you're going to struggle, obviously, to be a consistent team. I thought Slay looked pretty good.
Yeah, maybe Slay is a better player than you.
He's more consistent, yeah.
Yes.
And he's 80 carry meta, so he like obviously kind of shined. But his support, Ron.
Whew. Not many things I could say except for that he was not memorable.
So what's funny is I watched the best of 5 that they played, and I was like, this guy's not bad. Like, he's looking all right because they're beating the other team. Mm-hmm. And then they got to group stage, and I was like, why did I think that? Because as soon as the competition stepped up, Ron struggled a lot.
The best thing I could say is he's not memorable. When I think of this team, I forgot the name of the support. So it's like...
It's Ron.
Okay, well, like that's...
Come on, man, it's Ron.
At least I can't off my head think of like terrible fucking plays that he did. Just the fact that he wasn't as good as his peers.
Yeah. Aside from Warzone. And that, I just...
You want to talk about Warzone?
I feel like this team...
Go for it.
I feel like this team could have upset so many more people if Warzone just wasn't shit. Like, Warzone was like hands down their worst player. And I started not liking him because in the best of 5 versus Supermassive, he was getting solo killed by GBM. And he was like... He called GBM a hard-stuck Diamond 2 player. And then lost to him repeatedly in laning phase. And then, he could only play like Cassio at any like acceptable level. And even then, like, he was getting fucked up by Caps. And then the game that they won, it was like Yijin camped the shit out of him. And like, Caps continued to play aggressive.
The way I see it is his best trade was going even in a lot of games. And that's not typically what I like to say of people. You know, I think of the mid laners who did good this event. Like, I think of Caps. And like, I'm just like, Caps and the largest extent BDD in some of their games, like, took over the games and made it so, you know... the best thing I should say is that, like, a lot of the times the jungle is kind of, like, strangled by how good your mid is.
Yeah, I think a lot of mids this tournament didn't look particularly good. Like, even Xiaohu at times was, like, sketch.
And people thought, like,
Caps was sketch. Like, Maple and BDD are probably your...
most consistent, with Caps being the highest this group stage. And it's like... oh god, it makes your jungler look bad a lot of times.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Smithy felt that a couple times.
You're looking at Smithy in some of the games where he's just ahead.
Getting invaded all the time.
I see the situation where like he's ahead and his like mid laner is like behind, and he's like trying to scavenge like kills or ganks off when his mid has no pressure, and he's against like a faster roaming Talia or, you know, another global. And he's still able to pull it off. So I don't want to talk about TL this early.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of things to say about them.
Yeah, anyways, EVOS, they looked like a wildcard team. Like, they did a lot of really scrappy... whenever I think wildcard, I think scrappy. And they were super scrappy.
Like, you think of EVOS as, like, a team that comes in and, like, they'll take bad places to skirmish because they don't know better. Like, the best thing they can say is, like, let's get into the fight and, like, we'll win.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they tell each other. And a lot of times, like, that'll work because, you know, you have these, like, experienced teams be like, who would fight here? This is such a dumbass thing. There's no objectives up here. Like, we're not going to do something stupid and get caught here. And then they see, like, someone that's too easy of a bait and they go in for it. And then suddenly it's just like, how did this develop into a 3v3 skirmish? And that's what I think, you know, EVOS did a lot of.
Yeah, and they would win some of them, but when you're not fighting over objectives, you never turn it into enough stuff. So, like... they'll win a 3v3 skirmish, like you said, no objective up, and then like they'll lose 4-0 in like a bot lane dive or some shit like that.
And the game's over.
Yeah. So I don't know. They didn't look super impressive. I'm sure we'll see them again.
I think, like you said, maybe they're like about 1 or 2 players away from being a legitimate team. Like, I agree with you. I think there were a lot of situations where they were up in kills, or they were like, it was such a scrappy game. We're talking 7-7. It's like 17 minutes, and you're just like, Jesus, what happened this game? And with a better player to convert, maybe they can get a lot more out of it. So like, they come back with a new mid laner, come back with a new support, and then maybe this team turns into something great by Worlds.
Yeah, I can see that, especially because like mid lane's pretty important, and if your mid laner's your worst player, it's hard to be like, yeah, our Cassio got fed, and now he's gonna carry us, and it's like, that's just not going to happen. Anything else for EVOS?
Nah, I'm good.
They did their job, I guess. They beat NA and EU so that we can be mocked. They beat each of us once.
That's true.
All right, that brings us on to China's representative, RNG,
Ooh, we're talking
Royal
about
Never
early.
Give Up.
Okay,
well,
okay.
it's, I mean, the other team, the next 3 teams
Are all important to talk about.
Yeah,
I got you.
they all almost got first place. Heading into the final day, they were tied at one point. They were all 6-3 at one point.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing about RNG is obviously the standout, because we want to start with good stuff, right? Uzi is about as good as you'd expect.
Yep.
And their bot lane is probably the best bot lane in the event.
Yeah, minus that one game where Ming just got destroyed by Ole.
Of all people, like Ole, who was like just coming out of like a really bad like phase where he didn't play for the day, and he comes in and he just gets solo killed in lane. You're just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Aside from that, I think Ming's probably been the best performing support of the event, and Uzi's been the best performing AD.
Yeah. So their bot lane is no joke. They smashed. They did struggle a little bit early on in the tournament, where like they picked some bad matchups like that one, and but other than that, like they crushed kids. They crushed Reckless. They crushed Double Lift the game the second time they played. So I don't know. I think their bot lane's super legit.
No, they are, and like they're a lot of times it's like it's obvious that they believe Uzi can carry. So the amount of resources they throw at this guy, it's like if everyone dies for him, we set it up. We're perfect.
And then the CS per minute thing is the craziest shit. It's like 24 minutes in the game. He's at 300 CS sometimes. The Reckless game that they played at the start, where it was like Reckless was above 10 CS per minute and 50 CS behind, was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was a great game for you to be like, well, if you want to play in a style of farm, which Reckless is great at, you know?
Yeah.
You think of Reckless as that guy who farms a lot and has huge impact at like 2 items. Uzi had that, but had huge impact at every point and had more farms. So you're just like, holy shit, this guy took over the game.
Yeah, he's absolutely nuts. Let Me doesn't stand out very often, but like he frontlines well. Like he's not some of these tanks who's like way too far ahead of his team.
What was the stat? Did he play Orange 6 games in a row?
Something like that.
Legit, I just watched this guy. I'm like, does he play another champion? I can't say anything, right? Because Orange's such a strong pick right now. A little bit of a meta talk here. Like when you're playing against Zoe comps, you need to find a way to be able to initiate onto them.
Yeah.
And right now, one of the best ways to do it is people use like Vladimir and people use Ornn. And so like if there's a chance of Zoe, you're gonna see an Ornn. Or if you need initiation, you're gonna see an Ornn. So, but yeah, I saw this guy play Ornn the entire event.
And Ornn's really good into a lot of other stuff too. Like there's some immobile AD carries in the meta, like Kog'Maw and stuff like that. And then there's a fair amount of range supports. And so Ornn just brings a lot of engage to like start things off on them. So
oh yeah, and someone says it was probably Stark as well, because I saw Stark play a ton.
Stark played a billion games of Ornn.
So maybe he played less games than Stark, but Ornn was a big pick this event.
Yeah, so Let Me played a lot of tanks. I think he had a couple carry games, but like the style is so centered around Uzi that like just giving him a front line to work with is pretty important.
And I think that this is one of the teams that can effectively run Karma comps. You know,
Yeah.
Karma, Galio. Usually you can't do that unless you trust your AD incredibly well. And you see Fnatic try it one game, and it was a game versus NA where it's like, well, why did they pick, Karma mid on caps? But realistically, like, from another AD, like, if RNG had ran that comp, people wouldn't have even, like, bat an eye. They would be like, you know what, that's a reasonable comp for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, Karma mid pushes wave pretty much all the time, has really good matchups, works well with your jungler to, like, do invades and stuff, which is what a lot of teams are doing, and then provides insurance for your late game AD carry.
Yeah, but it only works if essentially your AD is competent. And so you
Are
see,
you saying Reckless isn't competent?
well, I'm just saying, look at I would say the best 2 ADs of the event are, for me, obviously Prey and Uzi.
You went
With
double
the
lift up
exception, I would say double lift is within talking distance, and it just sucks because I think his team didn't step up.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to place him there.
It's hard to put a player that doesn't qualify for the next portion.
Exactly. He actually played out of his mind this event. And
Yeah.
at first, I didn't think it was that obvious out of the first 3 days. And the more I watched him play, I'm like, no, this guy's actually playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, like the Kaisa game that they had versus
The
Flash Wolves.
Caitlyn game before that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. This guy's going...
We're talking about NA.
We're talking about the
Goddamn.
wrong goddamn team. Okay. But, yes, I think stylistically, this is one of the teams that can run like a supporter style mid, a Galio mid, a Karma mid, and be completely reasonable with that because they know, Uzi will 1v5 when it gets to some point.
Yeah,
Or
there's
2v5.
There's enough carries in the meta like Kaisa, like Kog'Maw, that you can. I mean, we're gonna ban both those out. Maybe he takes Ezreal. Like he'll play anything.
Yeah, so
Zaya is still nasty late game.
Oh, we should talk about the junglers.
Yeah, so I was waiting to get to the jungle because I feel like you have to talk about everything else around this team before you talk about the jungle situation.
Yes. You start off.
I don't know why the fuck MLXG is playing.
Okay. I heard it's because, and I didn't watch this, that in the semifinals, Karsa wasn't as consistent as MLXG, which is crazy to talk about consistency when it comes to a player who has very high highs and like stupid lows.
I think MLXG is probably the most erratic player of all time. Like in terms of not just like the fact that he's always erratic, but like the breadth of like how erratic he gets. Because he gets like, this guy's a fucking god to like,
this guy just
get him out of here. Just
yes.
fucking bench him, please, for the love of God. And like a great example was the game that he played on Lee Sin where he gets invaded, loses the buff, tries to go invade the other side, dies level 2.
Holy shit.
Dies on the collapse, dies level 2, and then is against a level 4 Graves as a level 2 Lee Sin. And you're like, what a fucking idiot. And then he goes and still has a phenomenal game, which is so hard to do from behind against Graves on Lee Sin.
This was against Kingzone, by the way.
Yeah, like against good players.
50 CS ahead, 2.5 levels up, and Lee Sin just runs through bot lane, gets a kill at level 6, runs top lane, trades a kill, not even gets it cleanly, but forces enough stuff on the map to where he becomes very relevant. And that was like probably the perfect game to explain this player who has these up and down moments a lot.
Yeah, and usually it's like a good game than a bad game. This was like both in a single, which is pretty crazy. But then he just has those games. Like he's TL beat RNG the first time because 1, the draft kind of sucked, and then 2, MLXG just played like shit. And then we still had to steal a Baron. And MLXG was one of the big reasons that
I mean
they lost some of their games. Like
the thing is, I think people have this like really like I think of Karsa from last year. Like this guy is like a top 3 or 4 jungler in the world. I don't necessarily know if he's still at that point. The game I did see him, he played Graves until I think Woojin. Or he played like a really simple Graves matchup, which is Graves Trundle or Graves Zac.
It was Graves Trundle.
A big CS lead, did it well in the game, and like he played well. But like it was like, I think, did we see 2 Karsa games or 1?
I think we only saw 1, right?
So I didn't get much to see, and I think that I have really rose-tinted goggles about Karsa. I think he's a phenomenal jungler, but I don't watch LPL enough to be like, okay, well maybe Karsa is worse than I thought. And maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I bet, because like I know a lot of people were not super hyped on him in LPL, so like I kind of understand what they're saying. But MLXG was like usually part of the cause of them losing their games, and then the one time you see Karsa, he pops off, and so you're like,
I think he's a good player to have in the best of 5 situation. So maybe moving forward and going to the next stage, you'll see more of Karsa and him switching off, especially if MLXG has like a bad game. You can immediately swap him out. All right, chill, dude. Watch this other guy play, collect yourself, and we'll send you back in like the next game.
Yeah, and the other thing too is what was funny is they put it in versus Flash Wolves the second time. So like they're like, go beat the shit out of your old team, and then he just destroyed them. So I thought that was pretty funny. That like the one time they use him.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Maybe he just knows him best. He knows him best, right?
Yeah, I mean that game was just tragic because I think it was Trundle Graves and. I forget if it was Karma or Talia. They had some pushing mid who just like they just invaded constantly and took like every camp. Just made it hell.
Oh, that was the game where Uzi got essentially a penta.
Yeah.
But then like was it the mid lane Talia stole it from him? But 8 minutes in, they have a team fight in the bot river and they're catching Karsa on the invade. Cool. Karsa dies. The collapse is so quick by RNG. They pull out with an Uzi Quadra and they have a full ace. And I'm just like, they lost.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation where I thought a player getting like more than 3 kills early leads to an automatic loss. But I think that if you ever give Uzi a triple kill, I don't think there's been a single situation where I think this guy cannot carry.
Yeah.
No matter how heavy his team is, he gets an early double, early triple, FF20.
That was so nasty. And the funny thing was, over the course of this tournament, RNG kept stealing pentas from each other. It happened like 3 or 4 times where like, I think Uzi started it by stealing one, and then like Xiaohu got back at him, and like I don't know, it was fucking crazy. But yeah, RNG looks really good. I'm not quite ready to say they're tournament favorites, but like I think they have a really good chance.
I think they're a team that also adapted throughout the event. Like, I think that it was Froskerin who pointed out that they were using, like, you know, unfavorable top lane, like, tank picks, like Maokai over, like, you know, Ornn or Sion early, and they weren't, like, they didn't have a great example of, like, what was good. For instance, when I see MLXG pick Nocturne, I'm just like, you're trolling.
Yeah, I mean, they were 2-3 at some point this tournament.
Yeah, and you see Uzi being like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to the next round.
Yeah.
Like, this is difficult.
Yeah, because so the first Team Liquid beat was, of course, RNG. And, like, during that time, there was a legitimate chance that, like, EVOS, Fnatic, and RNG all could have not made it before they went on this crazy streak to go 6-4 or 7-3 or whatever they were.
And even at the very end, like, you think that, like, you know, Flashwell's got it cut out for them, and they just start losing games after going perfect.
Yeah,
you know? 6-0, and then it's like, 6-1, 6-2,
6-3. But yeah, I don't know. I think RNG looks really good. What are the actual matchups? I'm gonna pull them up real quick.
God, I didn't watch the matchups. Or I didn't see the
draw.
Was there a draw?
No, it was the first.
They just asked them, right?
The first team picked between the third and fourth team. So it's RNG and Fnatic, which means Kingzone and Flash Wolves.
Okay. Ooh, we're saving this till the very end, right?
What, Fnatic?
No, I mean talking about the predictions.
Yeah. I was just checking to see, like, if they were a shoo-in for finals. Because I was asking you, like, based off group stage, they kind of look like favorites, but I didn't know if they were playing Kingzone round 1, and they're not.
Ooh, okay.
So,
well, what are you trying to say? I think Fnatic can do. Okay, no, let's not talk.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into it.
All right, okay. Well, there's not much to say about this team. I think that they're very good, and they're kind of what I expected from a team that comes out of China or Korea.
What's crazy too is I know a lot of people don't even think this is China's best team, actually.
Yeah, IG with the Shy was, you know, God's gift to mankind. But of course, Rookie's just cursed to never see international stage. Everyone I talked to about LPL is always like, have you seen Rookie? He's the best mid laner in the world. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll see him when he comes to international stage. Every time he doesn't make it. And I'm just like, are you sure? And they tell me, they're like, they're very adamant, you know, you would not believe what Rookie can do. He is phenomenal. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll watch international events. When he gets there, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
He just never gets there.
It's so sad. And then, like, the Shy too, so I was talking to Xell about it, and he was like, they were like 20-something and 2 with the Shy, and like 9-9 with
I forgot the top laner.
God, I know who it is too. I just can't remember his fucking name. Whatever. Either way, it was like vastly different teams with the Shy, and he's like, you say Rookie's God gift to mid lane, like the Shy is fucking insane in the top lane.
Yeah, I heard he's
Duke. Yeah, Duke.
I heard he's actually like hard carrying them this season, and then turns out he just cut off his finger. Like he had a problem with his hands or something on his hand region. I heard this because he was out like with IG's manager, which I think is just funny.
Yeah, so like the story from what I heard was like he was working a lot and like really stressed, and they're like, dude, relax, like you're gonna burn yourself out or some shit, like go out there, go drink. He broke his hand somehow, drunk.
Oh my god.
It was a cooking accident, cooking injury. Yeah, well, you know, who knows, because like no one's gonna go out there and say exactly what happens with hand injuries.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Oh god. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But I actually do think it would have been nice to see them, but I think that I don't know what to think about Xiaohu. I guess it's the last thing I want to say.
Yeah.
I expected a better Xiaohu.
There's been times where Xiaohu has looked like one of the best mid laners at a tournament. Like,
yes.
Like Syndra games and like stuff like that. He looks really good.
When you talk about the most consistent international like Chinese mid laner,
oh, it has to be Xiaohu because it's not Scout.
Yeah, it's like this guy is like the most consistent. I see him play really well every event, and this event I was like, you know, he's doing okay, and I guess that's like not terrible.
Yeah.
But when I do expect a little bit more from him.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope to see that going into the next best of 5 stage.
Yeah, and like he's shown that he like will play team focused stuff, and like that's good for their style because Uzi's so good, but he hasn't really demonstrated himself to be a big threat right now, which might be a problem against some of these other teams.
And it might be like just biased because we'll see stuff like where I'll see caps at the event, and I'll see like these insane like plays and be like, why can't Shahu do this? And it's like because he doesn't need to.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because there's this like Caps versus Maple argument for the first like 3 days, and Caps was like, he had way cooler plays, but Maple had like died once, and it was like, well, Betty's popping off, so Maple doesn't need to go out there and pick Yasuo and try and 1v9. So like, it was weird. A lot of these mid laners like were not super standout,
and maybe that just is how the meta is right now. Right?
Yeah,
you don't need to be crazy when the highest carry performance is coming from your bot lane most of the times.
Right, and that's what I said about why I didn't think Fnatic had a great chance this tournament to beat some of the top teams was because like as good as Caps is, like bot lane's way more important, and like you have Uzi, you have Praying Gorilla, you have like these like nasty like the best bot lanes in the world.
Turns out if your mid lane is actually just the best one or like one of the best ones, and your jungler is one of the best ones, you can do a lot.
That's true. We'll get into that in a second. But before we do, we have to go to the team that was looking like the tournament favorites for a good part of it.
Ooh, this team started, I think, 6-0.
6-0.
And then started losing nonstop. And so this is a team that had that very incredible early run, looking like they were going to just run the tournament away.
I mean, you said this was the team, one of the only teams that came out and said, like, we prepped hard for this event, right?
I was told that was the case. I just, like, I'm not consistent in the fact that I don't know or...
You don't have your fingers in the scene. Like,
right, exactly. Like, I'm not so down to the ground on this kind of knowledge anymore. So I only hear, like, rumors from other analysts. But I was told that, like, they did prep for this. And I don't necessarily know if that's true, but at least they came in with a much better start than other teams that we know.
And I think that's the big reason that they looked so much better than everyone else was just I felt like a lot of teams didn't know exactly what was going to be good. Like I think RNG looked like that. I think Team Liquid like that. Fnatic a little bit looked like that.
I think the teams which have the best idea of what was strong and what was weak was Kingzone and Flash Wolves. The first 2 days was just holy shit, what is going on? TP Ezreal over here. We got Soraka over here. What is happening?
Like, Soraka just disappears halfway through too. Like,
for no reason, honestly. And then she comes back on like the last day. But like, I think that they had like a really, really good read on the meta initially, and that was what propelled them to the point where like, they could afford to give up losses later because they prepared well or better than other teams, in my opinion.
And I think this is one of the few teams that I don't look at a single player, other than maybe Kingzone. I don't look at a player and go like, wow, this guy is maybe going to hurt his team come knockout stage. Like, I feel like all 5 of them are really good in their own ways. Like, Betty looked like the best AD carry of the tournament for a good period of time. Maple looked the same way. Before RNG rallied, of course, because then RNG went on the rally and Uzi's clearly the best. But for a period of time, Betty looked like the best. Mujin has looked really good. Sword Art looked nasty at points. Like, everyone on that team has stepped up.
Sword Art has always been somewhat of a standout for that region. Like, I think people would argue that he's potentially their best player in that region. And I've heard that from like, Xander, who's followed that region for a long time. It's just like, yeah, Sword Art's our best player. And I'm like, holy shit.
Probably over the course of it, because I think like at different times, Maple and Karsa have been like the most important player on that team. But like they've also had slumps, whereas like Sword Art's pretty much always like the number 2 guy making big plays for them, or sometimes even the number 1 guy.
But like I want to back you up on this in saying that like I think Maple has just had like crazy good event in terms of like consistency king. In their wins, he died once. I think his KDA was some stupid number like 30 or something, which means absolutely nothing. But the fact that like I think he just worked really well in his team and he didn't go crazy in terms of risk while still being able to put pressure out.
Flash Wolves were by far like the safest like min-max team. Like they are so happy to get like summoner advantages on plays. Like they will not flash for kills often. They'll just take your flash. And then they're really clean around Baron. Like so much of this tournament, holy shit, was awful Barons. Like Baron steals on Baron steals on Baron steals everyone except for Flash Wolves.
God bless you, Smithy. Let's go.
Broxah, both of them like just fucking tons of Baron steals, and then like the other teams were doing it too. Like those two had probably the highlight ones where it's like both of them won games for their team with them, but like EVOS would get leads and throw around Baron. Like
I think this is a good example of the current shape of the meta.
Yeah.
So right now the meta is it's impossible to siege without Baron. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wave clear is too high, and you can get flanked in too many positions for you to effectively siege without it. And so right now, it's relatively like whatever happens before the Baron stage, whatever you play, whatever, but you have to be able to get a team comp that works at being able to like contest Baron in some way, shape, or form.
I know Broxah stole 2 Barons against them, but like their Baron control outside of that, like that one game was the best, I think.
And so I think that this is a great example of like how important Baron is. If you lose Baron, that's just like your next 5 minutes are going nowhere.
Yeah, and what's funny is there's 2 like Baron storylines here. One was like it kept getting stolen from teams, and the other one was as soon as someone got Baron, they inted. Like the amount of time someone would get a Baron and instantly die. Zix was just like, he was like, I guarantee you from like, it was like day 2, he's like, this is going to keep happening. And for the entire tournament, people just kept getting Baron, dying, and then like, no effect.
I think it's a good example of like what I said before in the sense that you can only siege with it, but like, you don't exactly know just how far it can go.
Yeah. You hear that, chat?
Can you guys hear that? If the answer is no, we're good.
Yeah, they can.
God.
It's yes and no, so that's good.
Who is that?
You know who it is.
Oh, he's still here?
Yeah, still. He lives here.
I thought he moved out. I don't know why.
No, that's not Miles.
Oh. That's what we do.
No, we just let it go. He'll sleep through anything. It's not Josh. Secret roommate.
Okay.
Anyways, Flash Wolves. Yeah, I think they're most like clearly identified by just like they had a lot of games where it would be like 1 kill to 0 or like 2-0, and that's it. They played like a really safe, slow game overall.
Yep. It's weird that I don't actually. Stylistically, what would you have classified Flash Wolves before this event? Like, in earlier years.
Yeah, earlier years.
You're thinking of Carson Maple as that tag team duo.
Like, kind of explosive.
Yeah, that gets explosive stuff happening and then, like, snowballs from there. And then, like, now in some of these situations, you see them playing, like, these very clean, like, macro-oriented games where they just rotate around and get, like, 1 pick and a tower. And so they've definitely developed in a way where I'm really surprised that their regions, like this team could even exist with Carson leaving.
Yeah, and I think you have to kind of look at Mujin as like the big reason that kind of worked. And it makes sense, like Korean player comes over, they look like I have more Korean style right now, a lot of like tempo advantages and stuff like that. And then it works really well because Maple's also shitting on kids. Like his Zoe is so fucking good.
Talk about Zoe, guys.
Yeah,
I think people really underestimated Zoe coming into the event. Zoe is one of the best blind picks in the game at the moment. And similar to stuff like Yasuo, which I never thought I would say, it is incredibly good. And I think as the tournament developed, people realized that there's there's a duo that can't be given away. Ezreal, Zoe cannot ever be given away unless you're looking to forfeit. Because they get into the mid game where you start sieging the first mid lane tier 1, and you will never win because the combined poke of those 2 champions means you essentially will always have to concede on every siege.
I forget which game it was, and they might have even lost, but there's a game where like there was no inhib turrets up. This team walked mid lane like a bunch of times to try and take the mid turret or mid inhib again, and then like Zoe would just poke them off consistently. And it's such a like you're talking about not being able to siege. Like she herself stops people from being able to siege by just hitting them relentlessly.
Yeah, I think Zoe has definitely come back full circle to becoming a great pick. She's less oppressive than before. Like, before she was disgusting. Best pick in the game. Now she's like, sure, you can stop her at points, but she has certain situations where she is one of the best, if not the best pick in a lot of situations. And it warps the kind of game in the situation where you have to take stuff that can dive. Stuff like Vladimir, stuff like Ornn. And on the reverse, champions like Kench and champions like Morg with Zoe become a lot more viable.
Well, and especially because I don't think there's that much great dive right now from the mid lane. Like, you're not seeing like big burst mid laners other than maybe Vladimir.
It's really just Vlad. You think of all the other stuff that gets played, it's like things that can shove in a row like
Talia, Karma.
Yeah, like unless you're a Yasuo player.
Yeah.
Then that's like the other exception, but realistically nothing really goes that deep And everything gets punished because there's always effective range of harass is like your screen.
Yeah, and Galio, like, he works, but not that many people are playing him right now because you need other divers to work with him. And, like, Orin isn't going to dive, and that's, like, another engaged tool you see a lot of. Unless you have Camille, like, you're not really going to see that much Galio.
Okay.
Because I don't know if there were that many others that Galio was played at.
I guess Camille is the only other one.
Right? Because, like, if you don't have someone to start it off, Galio doesn't actually get on your back line. And, like, you're not going to ult a Sion. You're not going to ult an Ornn.
You have some Kazakhs play. You know,
from
EVOS.
Yeah.
You have a little bit, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Which team did that? That was Flash Wolves, right? Who had that, like, absolutely nasty, like, Kazakh stealth into the Galio ultimate on top of them?
Oh, Rakan's the other example of that.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
Those are the only two. So, yes, that Galio Kazakh, it was Flash Wolves. It was...
That was,
great.
like, oh, God, that was, like, a thing of beauty. Probably one of, like, the best engaged, like... Start the Elder Dragon off, the enemy team walks in, Kazakh flies in there, and it's like, I'm an assassin mill your team, and yet everyone has to flash away instead of fight him.
Yeah, it's actually one of the best uses of that combo. Usually Camille is the best setup for that because they can't leave the space, and so you're stuck with her.
Yeah.
And so, like, the counter that people, of course, take Kench. And Kench is something that's been high priority competitive for a while.
God, dude. Tom Kench, just, like, I hate him. I hate him. A lot of reasons to hate him right now.
Yeah, I think there probably should be more in terms of punishment. Like, I think that you know, did you remember that champion used to gain speed when you like suck up your teammate?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, now we'll just make it even. And I'm like, you should lose speed. Like, you're literally saving your teammate from a potentially disastrous position. Like, you should be like very slow when you run away, so that, like, you know, it's not stupidly good to always take your teammate out of terrible positions.
Yeah, so, like, he makes it hard to assassinate a backline player, and then, like, you want to split push the map, and he's like, no, I can bring people over there too. And then, like, he doesn't make very many, like, he can sometimes ult aggressively, but, like, he just like he doesn't do his own strategy, he just destroys the other teams. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's enough of that. Is there any last things we want to say about Flash Wolves? We've not talked much about their top lane. Do you have anything to add?
Not really. Like, consistent, plays the tank for the team for the most part.
All right, tank top laners.
Betty's really good. Betty and Sword are really good. Betty's Varus was nasty for the first 2 days, and they just stopped playing it. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So now we're moving on to KZ. The team that people were going to say...
I mean, okay, that is fair. He does play a fair amount of carries because he has that Yasuo. So Hanabi used to be a mid laner. Yasuo Zed one trick who goes top lane. And when he does get to play that style for this team, it looks really good. I just feel like he doesn't
get to play that style much.
Yeah, like...
Or ever.
Yeah.
I think the only top lane good pick is into Gnar. And so... Yeah. Yasuo to Gnar is like the perennial, like, you want this matchup if you're playing Yasuo. It's the best competitive matchup as well.
Which made it weird when Kingzone picked Gnar blind into a guy who's known for Yasuo Zed, and then he picked Yasuo and they didn't ban it. And Yasuo was seen as decently strong right now.
I mean, I guess that's probably a good reason why in the follow-up games, I think Kingzone started banning Yasuo just from, like, a lot of different teams, because that's a champ that definitely warps the game, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like Hanabi. I just think it feels like it's so much more about the other players on this team, even though he is a good carry top player.
Okay. Now we go to Kingzone. The team that a lot of players say people wouldn't take a single game off of. In fact, the Kingzone would run circles around teams. And it's like, you know what? They
got third.
Yeah, they did not do as well as expected. And I want to just preface this off the top with BDD is not bad.
BDD is really good.
Yeah, I think BDD is not bad. Prey is holy shit. You know, I think his Ezreal is just disgusting. The fact that
the first like couple days on Ezreal was just the fucking grossest.
I'm watching this guy play Ezreal. I'm like, he's playing a hyper carry. Wow, get this guy off this champion. You know, I think that, like, similar to Uzi, whenever you see someone play Ezreal at that level, you're just like, you can't let him have it. And same with Kai'Sa.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reasons that people thought they would be so good was because a lot of people didn't think there would be many carry tops, and they thought that, like, Khan would come in and kind of dick a lot of top laners. And that was going to be one of the reasons they were so good, is, like, how do you deal with all these guys popping off at the same time? And then he kind of
Okay.
It felt like Kingzone's performance very much mirrored Khan's.
Okay, I want to say that after I looked into some like stats of Khan after like the first 2 days, the guy who runs the stat website Magic ended up tweeting about Khan having like still the best top lane stats by far. The thing about Khan is when he fucks up, you remember it. You're just like, holy shit, this guy overstayed top lane and solo died to Kennen. And then Stark took over the game. Like I remember that game against EVS because like sure they won the game, but you're just like Khan. You're an idiot.
Yeah, there was the game against Fnatic that they lost, and Khan like TP's in as Vlad into a Braum, whatever the AD carry was, 1v2 behind as the rest of his team's dying on an invade, and still runs into them and dies as well. And you're just like, Khan, what are you doing?
I want to say he's still playing well, but his low, like you're seeing a lot more lows from him than you would expect.
Yeah. And who knows if it's like him trying to dominate too hard? Because I think some people... He talked a lot of shit before the tournament. Like,
yeah.
Warzone probably talked the most. Like, I can do 1,000 push-ups. I'm the best.
And then he talked more, and then everyone afterwards was like, yeah, but he didn't prepare for Bwipo, so... you know, the better top player.
Yeah. Bwipo.
But aside from that, I've been very impressed with BDD. Able to essentially play a lot of what his team needs. And he plays all the stuff that's good into anything else the other team plays.
Yeah.
So like he'll play like into the Yasuo. He'd be like, you know what? I can play the Galio. Like I can play the supporter style for Prey. I can play like the Roam heavy styles. I can play Zoe. You know, I've got the full package.
He can play anything he wants, but I always felt like BDD was at his best on kind of KDA champions, so to say, like things that were more about like controlling the game, and like a Talia. You know,
dude, this is like a far. Like difference from when he first got that scouted because he was originally known as
the assassin Zed.
He was the Zed player. He was known as like I think the best Zed in Korea. And I used to watch his highlight reels, but like this guy, insane. Can't believe it. Now I've never seen a Zed again, and now I'm talking about his Zoe being like great. You know,
I love his Zoe. His karma's awesome.
Yeah,
give me some
like,
more Talia.
It's like come on.
Yeah,
but his Talia was great. Like super good. Controlled the map really well. Oh, wow. I'm, like, trying to think of their jungler.
Well, they had Peanut and Cuz.
Okay. Cuz played Zach.
He played Zach a couple times.
And the thing is, I know Cuz because when I was trying to learn Nidalee, I copied his Nidalee because he got rank 1 with it. And so, like, he's known for me as, like, a carry-oriented player. I'm seeing him just play Zach. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, it's I wonder if it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, we already have Peanut if we're going to play carry-oriented stuff. And Peanut was doing good.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to give Cuz some reps.
Oh, yeah. And Cuz, to be fair, did play that Camille game where he popped off, even though he shouldn't have.
Well, it was...
That was
a draft that thing, really. Because they were losing that game early with the 2v2 skirmishing. So this was the Fnatic game. Was it today or two nights ago? Dude, I have no fucking clue about time.
Yeah,
right
it was a recent Fnatic game where essentially, you know, Caps gets Yasuo, and then they also get Yasuo Trundle. And then for some reason, Camille thinks it's smart to skirmish the Trundle 1v1.
In River.
Trundle loses no 1v1s against melee champions. Let me just put that out right now. No physical damage AD champ can beat Trundle.
What about Olaf?
Trundle counterpicks Olaf.
Yeah.
That's the pick you pick into that. But I think that like maybe Olaf can win like a little bit early.
It depends like
who gets
HP
a jump.
values.
Yeah, stuff like that. But like Trundle for the most part just like scraps out all of these guys. And then you have this guy 1v1, he's like, oh, I can't win this. And he flashes out, you know, Caps goes over, kills him. They get the Galio as well. And then Gorilla tries to rotate over and he dies as well. And you're just like, wow, Fnatic's got this game. There's no way they can lose.
And then
Reckless raises his hand, I'll prove you wrong.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh god. So we'll get into the Jhin picks probably in a little bit when we get to the next two teams. But like, it was an immobile AD carry into Camille, Galio, what was the other bullshit they had in that team? Because they flexed a lot of stuff. To pick another... Oh, GP. Mm-hmm. So they just GP ult on top of this like wombo combo going on. I forget what their AD carry was for that game. They had a Thresh as well. Maybe it was a Varus.
I just remember they had a Sedge support. And I was just like, yeah, this is going to look great for this AD carry that can't defend himself.
Yeah. Either way, it was just like... they had no protection for an immobile AD carry against the dive comp. And like Kingzone didn't throw the early game hard enough. and they came back and won.
Yeah,
and,
surprisingly.
And like Cuz didn't really play that game that well. It was just like I press R here and like no one stops me. Okay.
Like he was able to find the right picks, and since he had the looming threat of Galio ulti, they couldn't stop him from looks.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, yes, he was able to find the looks, and eventually Sedge support sucks. Coming from someone who's played Sedge support, actually in a competitive game, and it was a lot better when Sedge was like a monster.
Yeah.
Before she got hit with 3 back-to-back nerfs, and the situations that you used to play are not in that situation.
Yeah, so it was just like the kind of thing where you have Jhin, they have no tanks really. The tankiest thing they have is a mid Galio going AP with like a Roa.
Which is great for Jhin. Usually you'll play Jhin into these somewhat squishy people, and he just like 3 hits all of them.
Yeah.
But he got 3 hit instead.
Yeah, so it was just awful. It was a hard draft to see coming because like the Camille comes in and you're like, all right, that's gonna go top, and I don't really fault Fnatic for getting like flexed on like that. I do fault them for flexing themselves.
I think that the biggest problem was when they look to. Usually, what ends up happening is when bot lane gets broken, there's a small period of time where the neutral mid lane happens, where like whatever happens, people just throw themselves at each other mid lane. Maybe they get a pick, maybe they don't. I think Jhin died a little too many times in that neutral position for me to be comfortable. And like they got initiated on too many times in the neutral mid lane position for me to be comfortable, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's that one famous one that people blew up on Reddit about because Reckless walked forward for a 10 HP minion or whatever, 10% HP minion, and then
and it's in a situation where like you want your Yasuo to start creating pressure. You know?
And Caps was huge.
Yeah, Caps was the guy who's getting double kills, diving 4 people, and you're just like, of course he's not gonna lose this game. He's gonna show us why he's the greatest and only Yasuo player. Or there's 3 Yasuo players. The first Yasuo player out of 3 at this event, and he wasn't able to carry this game.
Pobelter really a Yasuo player? Is that who you were talking about?
Let's not talk about that. There's actually more than that because
there's Hanabi.
There's one top. There's Pobelter, and I think Maple played it too. No, it was that one other guy.
Was it Warzone? I don't remember. Anyways, Caps, Pobelter, and Hanabi were the standouts.
The 3 top Yasuo
BDD
players.
played it?
Yeah, BDD.
Oh, yeah, he had his first competitive Yasuo.
Maple did play it. And so, like, they played... There were 5 Yasuo players. That's really surprising. Usually you don't see any in an event that's not top lane.
Yeah.
Or that's not Darshan, you know. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, so... Okay. It just sucked. I don't know what to say. And you know what? I don't even want to talk about Fnatic because I could easily get into...
Well, they're up next, so we'll get to them in a second, but...
I have a lot to say.
Wrapping up Kingzone thoughts, Khan still, like...
Worse than expected.
Had good stats, but he had so many, like, problems that resulted in losses for them. Prey and Gorilla were still really good, had a couple mistakes as well. BDD was great, and their junglers... Neither stood out or looked terrible, and I think that's why you kind of saw them swapping around a little bit.
I definitely think BDD is backboning this team right now in the sense that like he's able to kind of create pressure. They work with their jungler to get leads, and then they can get out from there.
Yeah.
And I think that without him and his consistency right now, the team itself would be kind of weird. I do think that their bot lane is still doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And Prey still, for me, standing out as probably the second best AD at the event. But I'm a little bit worried. Coming, and not to preface the predictions too much, I think that I expected a stronger Kingzone than most people did.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the region, so I only listen to hype. And people are like, Korea's the best, and this year, they're even better. Think SKT, but double. And I'm just like, holy shit.
I mean, like, they struggled a little bit in their finals match, but Korea has that really stupid playoff structure where it's like a gauntlet thing, and like the team that finishes first in the regular season just sits on their ass for like 3 weeks, and then they play, and like they didn't look great in that match, but it was like, well, they haven't been playing, you know, so like who knows really what it was, and then they came here and struggled, so it's a little sketchy. I would still bet on them to win the tournament, but like I think people were expecting them to lose a game or two, but they lost a lot. 6-4.
A lot. And in ways that were not what you'd expect from
a
team that you're like, oh, this is the perfect macro team. You know, this is a team that makes few mistakes. Like I can't wait for Khan to show up and smack like your top laner around, all that kind of stuff. I just got thrown out the window.
Yeah.
The fact that at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know what, BDD played really well. I was impressed. I'm coming away from a team that like their mid laner is a star, as opposed to like I'm coming in thinking their bot lane should be the monsters, their top lane should be the guy who I'm thinking about. But like I'm thinking, no, BDD is very good.
Yeah, BDD is really, really good.
Yeah, holy shit.
And like they probably don't have the best macro at the tournament based off what we saw in the best of one. I think Flash Wolves has to.
I would say that's yes, but I would also say all the teams did a lot of learning throughout the 5 days of group stage. Like I think as a team, you probably learn faster in those 5 days than you do in like two or 3 weeks, maybe a full month during the LCS season. It's actually insane. Like how fast you're just like, oh my god, that shit didn't work, or like their shit worked and they're smashing us with it. What's our answer, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah, definitely a little bit underwhelmed. Korea's synonymous with like the best macro, and they had a game where they lost to no tank, 4 range Camille Flash Wolves. We just like grinded them out with a ranged priority comp, and it's like, holy fuck, that is impressive. That was probably the most impressive game to me out of like the whole tournament from like a high level perspective. It was just like these guys just used priority to beat Korea with a no tank comp. And then like play cleanly around Baron and shit. Like that blew my mind.
I mean, luckily I come from NA, a region that only prioritizes fun. So my favorite game.
Game wasn't very fun to watch.
My favorite game was the tiebreaker game, the very last one. That was when.
I don't think you mean that.
I got to experience a lot of fun.
I don't think you mean that.
I was very much enjoying that game. Anyways, perfect preface to talk about.
Fnatic,
and
kind of Team Liquid at the same time.
You know
I think
what?
A little bit like
Okay,
this is kind of like the West.
All right, so let's talk about the West. The West, pushed one team into top 4. I think that's pretty good. The West had one of 2 mid laners that was considered the best mid laner at the event with the highest highs, potentially the best.
If they also potentially had one of the best 80 carries in the tournament.
Yes, the West did a lot of good stuff this time. Honestly, super good. Alright, but really,
Fnatic.
What the fuck is with these drafts? Okay, let's not talk about drafts. It's every team has this stuff or these picks that you're just like, they're comfort picks you would not see on any other team, and then you have to judge how effective they are in the nature of this group stage. So a good example is something that I would say is something that ended up working okay is Xmithy's Gragas.
Yeah.
So like Gragas is not that great of a pick. However, when you're playing this stuff like Trundle, there's not many other options. You can't play a physical damage thing, and you don't want to play a tank. And so a pseudo tank that has initiation potential and is high comfort for him, I can see it kind of working, and its effectiveness was above average, I would say.
Right, and it's the kind of thing like we were saying where offense is really important in the meta, but there's not a ton of just like things that can kill an AD carry. Like an Orin can set things up, but you're gonna need other people to go in. Gragas can just deliver that character to you, and there were a lot of things that pick did. But like for Fnatic and Team Liquid, they talked a lot about how much they scrimmed each other, and like you see the similarities, like you see Jhin, and it's just like
you see these picks where you're like, I get that they're comfort, but can you be comfortable somewhere else?
Yeah, they have 2 or 3 tanks. Like don't pick Jhin, please.
Like a good example is Reckless up until the last tiebreaker. Sivir and Trist. It's like the funniest thing was the officials in the game, and one of the casters was like, why did they ban Trist? And the official's like, well, you've effectively cut Reckless's champion pool in half. Yeah. And I'm just like, holy shit. Did he just say that? That's awful. But it's true.
It's so true.
And in an event, it's like, the best thing you want to say about League of Legends, especially at a competitive standpoint, is that League of Legends is very much a tempo-oriented game. Yeah. And so, like, you get the early tower lead, you rotate to get early towers, and you take that early tempo to get a great position for Baron.
Yeah.
And Baron's around, like, the 20 to 26 minute mark. You're at, like, 2 items. And then, so if you need a champion that tends to scale up around 3 items...
And doesn't give you tempo early.
And doesn't give you tempo early, like, you don't really want to be forced into a pick like Sivir. And to some extent, Trist, but Trist is okay at, like...
She can wait.
Yeah, she can she has somewhat playmaking ability. She's like at least somewhat safe.
Yeah.
And scale is okay, especially at like 2 items even. But Sivir's a champion that takes so long that I'm seeing these games where I'm just like, oh my god, you're lucky Caps and Broxah are able to give you these 2-0 leads in the jungle or these 2-0 early game leads to be able to give you like a position to just farm. And I think that I expect more from the AD carry. And what sucks is in a different meta, he could have been one of the best in the region, right? In the Trist meta, maybe this guy's a god.
Yeah, but apparently doesn't play Kai'Sa.
Yeah, and it's just like...
Doesn't really play Xayah Rakan, apparently. Though he did play the last game, at least. Doesn't play Cog.
Right, and this is something where it's just like... I feel like... I don't like talking about draft too much, but I think this event had a lot of things where it's like... You can understand why they pick certain picks, but you'd wish otherwise. And he's a great player for me to be able to talk about. I wish he picked other things. And in the tiebreaker game, the very last one, they picked Xayah Rakan.
Yeah, it's smashed.
Yeah, great. They're able to take their early game lead and just like...
Oh yeah, no Ezreal either. But like, so I think the reason I have a hard time when people like want to complain about draft as their first thing is like, if you play the meta and you lose, people say, you should play your own style, stop copying the Koreans. Oh, and then if you play your own style and you lose, it's like, why don't you play the meta, you loser? And it's like, how about your fucking AD carry plays well? Like,
yeah.
Reckless played like shit for a large portion of this tournament.
Oh my god. The early half of this tournament, the first 2.5 days, was Reckless dying to Rakan.
Yeah.
In the most random way. He's playing against this one. I think it was Kingzone's bot lane. Wow, he just gets Rakan W in the middle of the lane and he dies. Okay, well I guess, what do I say about this? In the next game...
He picks Triss to buffer the jumps against Rakan, doesn't buffer the jumps and dies. It's
they're over diving with Triss. Oh, he dies again. This is great. And so it's like, that's not a pick problem. That's a player problem.
Yeah, like, I agree. Triss isn't the best in the meta. You pick it into Rakan to try and survive. You don't survive.
There's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And it's the player. Like, so I think you can play certain styles. And I want to say I want to talk a little bit about the most talked about game, which was, I think, one of the most talked about games. It's the NA versus EU game.
First or second?
It was the game where they picked Karma and Sivir. Caps is on Karma. And afterwards, people were just like, why would you ever put Caps on Karma?
Second one.
This is such a stupid idea. And I want to say that, like, Caps can obviously play anything. This guy is playing really, really well at this event. And people wanted to put Caps on carries and Reckless on, whatever. My biggest concern is, like, if you're going to do this, and what happens is, I understand the Karma pick, right? It helps your jungle AD be able to take over matchups, and it helps your AD be able to perform in mid-game. I don't think there's a problem with it. I don't even have a problem with him playing it even into that team. I have a problem with their bot lane picks. Like, if you're going to pick a champion that makes your bot lane better, like, you should pick a better bot lane. Like, a bot lane that, like, wins lane harder, or, like, prioritize your bot lane in a way where you're setting up your bot lane already in the very beginning of the game to succeed. Yeah. And it felt like they picked their bot lane got pressured in the entire game. And this was even without their jungle being there. Like, he just ended bot lane with a ward, didn't do anything there, and they just got pushed in the whole game. And it's like, set up your bot lane better for this game.
Yeah, and, like, even on, like, a conceptual level, like, Sivir and Karma power spike at such weird timings compared to each other. Like, Karma starts, like, falling off around 3 items. And that's, like, right when your Sivir is getting affected. Whereas, like, if you have a Cog...
Yes, Cog is the best example.
It's, like, Ginsu's and then Hurricane or whatever you want.
Ginsu's is really all you need.
Yeah, and then, like, you just go fucking ham in the mid-game. And it's, like, you can't go ham in the mid-game when Karma's at her best.
I think that's a good example of, like, other teams. I think RNG did this with Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Uzi fucking is nuts.
Yeah.
Kog'Maw's a great pick. You pair it with the Karma, and then he just smashes people.
And so if that was the case, I would have been fine with that, I had no problem with Caps on that. I just think they had a bad idea of what to do with that pick. And I want to say the best standout, the number one standout for Fnatic, their jungler.
Yeah, Broxah had by far his best tournament of his life.
I can't even believe what I saw this tournament. Like, what he ended up doing in almost all the early games, worked with Caps in almost every single one to set up his team to succeed. And you're just like, where did this guy come from? I'm asking myself, I'm like, EU has another international superstar in the jungle. It's like, this is this first showing, like, oh my god, this guy played out of his mind.
To be fair, a lot of the stuff that happened, like, Fnatic had a couple creative level ones in the first couple of days of the tournament that helped them get a lot of wins, most notably over Kingzone that game. But the thing you have to give Broxah credit for is, like, when they got him an advantage, he knew how to push it.
Yes.
Which is super, super important. His team played around that well as well. And it's like him and Caps took over a lot of games early in the tournament to like get them their wins and put them in a position to make it out of group.
And I think this is a great event, especially early, that people didn't realize how important the level 1s were.
Yeah,
and
there's so many crazy level 1s.
Yeah, this is
good thing they're going away.
Oh God, but I'm not gonna even talk about that.
All
but
right.
It's like, especially the meta junglers right now are the ones that can all do creative level 1s. You have Trundle, you have Olaf, you have Graves. These junglers don't need any help at buffs, can fight people off of buffs and do the wildest routes, and you're seeing them do crazy stuff. You're seeing them going over Baron Wall to kill the enemy red at level 1. You're seeing them late invade blue, late invade red. Like, these guys are going crazy. And I think especially in best of 1 formats,
that's necessary.
Yeah, and in group stage formats, this is gonna work. Like, every team should be afraid of like a late invade from a Trundle, or like you're gonna get contested at this buff by Graves. Like, it's just gonna happen.
So apparently people were confused about the level 1 thing. It's not official, but Riot has come out on some of the boards and said like, yeah, we're looking at removing like the minute before gameplay kind of thing, because like a large portion of our player base does nothing with it and just sits at turrets or whatever, and it's like, so dude, like, come on, it's important. It is important. Just because like everyone else nut hug turret and all tabs out doesn't mean there's a problem with that thing.
I agree, especially for competitive play. I think it'd be sad for it to be removed.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do I want to talk about this?
So Hylissang and the Braum priority, because a lot of analysts that I was talking to during this tournament like did not like early Braum picks or blind Braum picks.
I think the only time it becomes reasonable is if you pair it with a Karma mid. So like, I like the stylistic, like the styles that these two offer in the sense that like it hard protects essentially a Kog'Maw and makes him God.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I 100% agree. This is definitely a event where people were
just like, Braum doesn't win any matchups really, and you just keep picking him. And so, like, I think, you know, as much as we kind of shit-talked Reckless a little bit, like, you have to kind of be like, why are you guys playing Braum so much? And, like, is this all Hilly can play?
Yeah, the bot lane in total just had really weird draft picks. I think that Braum is a great example of a pick that can take advantage of weaker players.
Yeah.
So it's like a pick where it's like, he's not supposed to be a lane bully, but let's say you mess up, you're dead.
Yeah.
And in this situation, like, I think Braum only came out in the entire tournament, 1 kill in lane by themselves. There was like, I think one where
there was a time that Ming played it and fucked our the NA bot lane. But I think there was another one.
That was great, where he lands a Q flash ultis instantly.
Yeah, like they hit the level 6 like a split second before because they have push. That was beautiful. But yeah, Hylissang's not Ming. And like, I understand Braum's a great champion, don't get me wrong. Like, he does so much great shit. Like, his level 1 is nuts. He can block Ornn ult really well. He provides some of the best tanking ability from the support position, so it frees up the rest of your picks arguably. But like, when your bot lane's getting kind of smashed and everyone else is playing like kind of like range things or like anything that has better priority, it's just tough to watch their bot lane losing on weird AD carry picks and just hard stuck on a non-winning tank support.
I think Braum was a lot better also in different metas. I think this meta, like, playing Braum is not going to help you in a lot of situations. Like, maybe into just Zoe, and that's even like questionable because the range is so high. Like, you want a lot more from your support, whether it's just like insane peel that Morgana and Kench provide, or like
engage like Rakan.
Yes, or just the ability to make your AD like super strong, like
Karma, Janna, yeah.
And so I think that Braum's phase is kind of dying out, and this is like the introduction back into, like, you know, Karma, for instance, is seeing a ton of play right now. Rakan is seeing pretty good amount of play too.
Yeah, and when your bot lane's so important in the current meta, taking Braum and being like, we'll gracefully lose, just puts you so far behind.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, Braum's a fine pick in the game. I'm not saying it's not, but, like, there's a reason.
There are better options.
Yeah,
sometimes there's got to be better options.
Yeah.
It can't be the best pick every time. What else do we have to say? Whippo? Better than expected. Dude, coming into this event, you're telling me Whippo's got to stand in for Soaz. I would prefer Soaz. And after the event, I'd be like, Whippo did pretty good.
Most important, what do you think of his name?
Stupid, but that makes it perfect.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Whippo is a name that you remember because you're just like, Whippo.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of glad I didn't have to work this event and get up there and be like, Bwipo's really stepping up, and Bwipo was impressing me. And Bwipo on this champion actually looks really good. He actually played some carries, and on those carries, Bwipo had some good games.
Yeah, I'm glad he's one of the few top players that was able or comfortable to play Swain. There's some situations where Swain is pretty good, and he can follow up pretty well in those situations. He's not afraid to play carries in international events. I think that's great. Generally, he was the definition for me of a role player that did above average or above my expectations. So I had nothing too bad to say about him.
Yeah, I think he clearly is a rookie when he's asked to play a tank in 5v5 team fights. I think that was the area I noticed him underperforming and being like, I haven't played this game at the LCS level for very long.
And even positioning wise, Swain in 5v5 team fights is like, holy shit! Like, you have to be so careful because if you position poorly, you're dead.
Yeah, and I just remember so many times on the Sion pick, like ulting away when he didn't really need to, or like ulting in and ending up too far ahead of his team. Like he definitely struggled from like even/slightly losing games on tanks against good AD carries because he got punished. But like, if that's your complaint about a guy who's subbing in kind of out of nowhere, like you take that.
Yeah, you take that. You take that to the bank. And so I guess the last thing for us to talk about is Caps. Really high highs. So, like, he had a Zoe game, which I understand why people thought he fed. He did feed, but he fed because he was actually too ballsy. He had the entire pressure. He was actually
shit on Warzone.
Yeah,
shitting on it.
It was disgusting, and then it was just like.
Well, like, the Skarner hit 6, and then, like, he just didn't really respect it. And then, like, one time the guy lived with, like, 1 HP.
And then he died again, and he died again. And he just starts, like, chain feeding. But, like, at least, I don't want to say it's excusable. That was a terrible game by him.
Yeah.
But I see where he was going in the sense that, like, he was about to pop off. And he didn't get there.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to adjust your mindset. We're like, oh, I shit on this guy. Oh, I almost shit on him again, but then I got counter ganked and like whatever.
That's like the type of situation where like after the gank he typed like better jungler wins. Kind of stuff. Like, and I wouldn't even be like, I'd be like, you know what, you're right, but you were the better mid laner. But unfortunately, like the recovery, which is an important part of being a pro player, his recovery was very bad that game.
Yeah, and it sucked too because that was the game that kind of forced them to play the tiebreaker.
Yes.
Like he fed against the wild card team.
Would NA have gone through if they did it?
Yeah, if they won that game, NA insta loses.
Oh, so I
mean,
well,
it's kind of hindsight because you didn't know TL was going to lose to RNG or whatever. But like, still, that's what made it guaranteed. Like, if TL beat RNG, Fnatic was just straight out.
Oh.
So like, that was a really bad, like, unfortunate time to have a very, very bad game. And like, what was so funny is in the post game thread, like everyone was flaming the shit out of Reckless. Because he was like 0-0-1.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a game where I'm just like, Caps, are you stupid? Like, Caps like threw that game. Yeah. And the worst thing is Broxah actually set them up really well that game.
Yeah, they shit on the jungler. They were working well together. And then they kill the mid laner.
Caps just tries to be Superman and he ends up being like, I don't know, Aquaman.
Yeah, it's like Warzone baits you by being so bad. You're like, I can shit on this guy, and then Yijin's crazy, and sometimes he's like he makes good plays, and then Yijin like hard carried that game.
Yep.
And it was just like, Caps, you might have just fucked EU.
Okay.
But luckily he didn't.
Yeah, luckily it ended up being well. And I really like that the fact that the team is opening up to new picks. Like the fact that they can play Xayah. Thank God, they're not limited. I did like that Caps even played a Soul game in the group stage.
Yeah.
A Soul game where he went 5-0-4.
He did a lot of good work.
And his bot lane just ended up...
It's hard to not end up back there.
Anyways, I am very happy to see a bunch of different picks from all these teams, actually, that they developed so much throughout this event. And everyone looks stronger going into the event. Like, it's like they go into the event at different levels. Halfway through, they've all improved.
Yep.
And they're stepping out at the very end with some improving more than others. Like, I would say, like, Flashpoint came in with a better idea, improved less.
Yeah. Kind
of stuff.
Fnatic as well, like, they had some really creative level ones that's kind of stopped working out, and they lost a couple more games and stuff. But I don't know. It was overall, I would say, a pretty good good tournament. Fnatic also pretty good showing. They made it really scary by going 0-2 the last day.
But they made it in, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, they have time to work on it, and I've just been very, very impressed with their mid jungle. Very, very impressed.
Yeah, definitely the backbone of the team right now.
Coming from like me watching some of the U games where it's all about reckless this, reckless that.
Yeah.
Let's wait for a reckless carry. Put Soaz on Sion again. He's on Sion like 4 games in a row, but this time we'll give him Cho'Gath. It's like, okay, this time reckless. Like I even saw the game where he had 5 AD bans.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, well, reckless still wins. Like this guy's being talked up so much, and I'm happy to come in and see like it's not just him. His team can carry without him, and I think that they're a better team. Even leaving MSI right now, they go back to summer split. I'd be afraid because Fnac's looking pretty good.
And the thing too is like, even though we've talked a lot about how their bot lane and Reckless and Hilly have looked really bad, and like why they're struggling is obviously their bot lane. I still think Reckless is a great player. Like,
dude, just think of the AD competition at this event. Actually, and the worst player, the player that we thought would be the worst outside of Slay was going to be Betty, and Betty just ends up being like pretty incredible.
Almost inserting himself into the best conversation for like the first couple days.
And so like the people were right when they said the AD competition was stacked, but people just didn't take in consideration the other ADs. I would say as well.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it too. Like it wasn't a great meta. Like the AD carry meta definitely changed between LCS finals and this tournament. Like Kog'Maw became a lot more important. Kai'Sa was really important.
And the worst thing is the meta is going to change again because they play on the patch right before Baron gets buffed. I know you haven't seen a lot of games on this patch. You cannot do Baron at 20. It's not possible. Like if you kill 2 people and you do Baron, you might not be able to do it. Like Baron is such a hard objective to take now.
But it's nuts, right? If you get it.
Yeah, it's still the same thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but it's just so much. It's like 30% tankier and deals AoE damage to everyone in the pit. So it's like much harder to take and it takes much longer. And so a lot of the strategies that are being used at this situation were like, you're starting it with their AD carry and tank.
Yeah.
Or something just won't work.
Yeah, two Manning's dead.
Yeah, and so it's going to shake it up for sure. And this was maybe not a great meta for Reckless and for Fnatic, but enough of their other players stepped up to where I'm confident going back to Europe, they're still the team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, what would you say was the second best position behind AD carries?
It's gotta be mid lane.
Really? I would say junglers.
Okay, the problem is I see mid lane and jungle as intertwined.
Oh, right.
And so when you talk about mid lane being good, like I talk about top Caps and Broxah, like working together to create good leads. I talk about BDD and Peanut working together to get great leads. And it's hard for me to be like just this mid laner shit on that guy. And it got even in the first Yasuo game, right?
Yeah.
He got like 3-man ganked mid lane twice to get him ahead. Yeah. And then in the silent, he finally gets the solo kill everyone raves about.
Yeah.
But like he got a lot of resources to get there.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I personally was just surprised because Broxah was really, really good. Yijin was a little crazy, but was still like one of his team's primary carries.
Mm-hmm.
Mujin was super, super good. Peanut and Cuz, like,
I thought you meant like impactful roles. You mean the second most stacked position?
Yeah, stacked. Like, which ended up like being the best.
Oh yeah, it's jungle. It's jungle. Sorry. I thought you meant like the second most important position.
Oh yeah. Mid.
Then the jungle was stacked.
Like there was not a bad jungler in the other than MLXG, but even then, like we said, he's also sometimes the best jungler.
And then this is a good way to loop into Team Liquid because I think that talking about good junglers. So Xmithy is probably the player who loses the least going to international events. Usually what happens is like pressure gets to people, they play worse.
Oh yeah.
Xmithy's the guy who's like, I always think of him as consistency king.
Like cold-blooded.
Yeah, this guy, whatever ground he's playing on, doesn't matter. Whatever he does, he plays at his level. And when it comes to international events, it almost always means above his teammates, especially when NA comes into consideration. Yeah,
we're talking about NA. We're talking about specifically Team Liquid and the nerves.
Oh
have to touch on this. Okay. I don't know if you've covered this on your stream at all. If people have asked you, what's your take on day 1 and day 2 and all that stuff?
Here's my take on Team Liquid. I talked to a couple people in the scene about it. Here's actually the entire thing about Team Liquid is the fact that they were ill prepared for this event. They really, and from what I understand, they really only cared about, and I shouldn't say it like this, I would say they prioritized winning NA over caring about this event. And I think, you know what? That isn't wrong of them to do so.
Yeah.
However, it just looks bad from a viewer going in. So a good example is, okay, they did, from their videos, they showed they did 3 scrim blocks plus no break days, which is pretty much as hardcore as you can get.
Yeah.
Running 7 days a week of three scrim blocks to prepare for winning NA. They won NA and they took a 2-week break. I don't think the first thing they had in mind after winning NA was like, let's think about this. It was let's rest up and then like we'll consider MSI afterwards. And I think that's why coming into the event they were so slow starting. Imagine if they were on like fire coming into the event. All they needed to do was win an extra game.
Yeah.
Or win 1 or 2 extra games. And I think that very reasonably they could have done that had they been able to keep like that work ethic going to MSI. But I completely understand like burnout happens, and it's a situation where like as the organization you have to really value what's more important. Playoffs, like you can't do the 7-day 3 scrim block thing over a period of multiple months. You actually will kill your players.
What's your Korean?
Yeah, I would say like the exception is maybe like Koreans could do it. But usually what ends up happening for that I've seen is that like Western players perform best given like short boot camp situations, like boot camping for playoffs or boot camping in this situation, and then you have like a more stable schedule beforehand.
Yeah.
And so I just think that they were very ill prepared for this event, and it showed.
Okay, so I'm with you on the preparation. Like, you had, 6 weeks between Miami and the start of when they played or some shit like that, like super long. Not being on stage during that time sucks. Like, LPL and Korea had less time to prepare, but like at least they were a little fresher from when they last played. So I'm with you there, but like, come on, day one.
Oh no, they play like garbage, like 100%. I think the biggest thing and the biggest surprise for me is like Ole,
Yeah, he benched himself.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I don't want to make excuses for NA's performance early. I think that they came to this event underprepared. I'm trying to give reasons why that could be the case.
Yeah.
However, on top of that, there was the big Ole thing. I know you put out a video on it. I of course didn't watch it. So if you want to let me know your thoughts on it, I'd love to hear it right now.
Yeah. So if people didn't watch this, like. Basically, the reason it's hard to talk about is because it's like mental state and like mental well-being, and like everyone's emotions are different, and blah, 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 you can't make sweeping statements about stuff like that. And I get it, but like I'm someone who has had like anxiety problems. I've worked with players like Dom, who's like had a video talking about how he has panic disorder and like having to play through panic attacks. Like I talked about Bill Russell. He's an 11-time NBA champion, won 11 championships in 13 fucking seasons. Like, absolute god of a player. Vomited before every game. like anxiety and stress and like lack of confidence and self-doubt and all that stuff is like, that's just what it is to be a competitor. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think like the fact that Ole got so full of self-doubt or whatever it was, like they had a coach come out and say like he had like anxiety attacks probably and stuff like that. So like like I understand what that's like. I really do. But at the same time,
everyone gets that.
Everyone
Literally,
is nervous
before every event. Like people get that all the time. People I play with couldn't fucking eat the day of. Yeah. You'd have to like force them to eat like bananas or some shit because they couldn't eat. Because sometimes the nerves are too much.
Yeah, like Lionel Messi apparently throws up pretty regularly before games. Like this is like one of the all-time greatest soccer players. Like
before regulations, I had multiple people like just lose appetite, be like literally get no sleep. Like I knew a lot of teams who like just couldn't function under that level of pressure. And as an athlete or like any kind of like competitor, you need to be able to function under stress and pressure to be a to even do your job.
Yeah, and like I think the fact that like I think day one and day two were like they were underprepared for sure, and like they came into the event, they said they felt good based off scrims, but it sounds like they scrimmed a lot of Fnatic, and those two teams clearly were neck and neck, I think, over the course of this event. But they came in and things didn't go well, and then they got really nervous, and like they said, there was like a domino effect where like Ole stopped talking, and then like wasn't focused on doing what he normally does, and then of course everyone, instead of being like, this is what I'm doing, they're like, what's going on with Ole? And like that was the domino effect they kind of talked about. But like, yeah, that's still a problem. Like I sympathize with him, but at the same time, like
It's your job.
It's your job, and that's why you guys lost. I'm not going to talk a ton about your draft on day 1 and day 2 when Joey's fucking playing. You know, like, I'm not going to talk about your macro when a fucking rookie support who's never scrimmed with your team is playing games.
Yeah, like, you're talking about a player who has, like, the only thing I know about Joey is that I don't even know if his champion pool is, like, that wide from the academy. And it's like, you're bringing in someone who essentially has never played with the team. He's only there because Riot forces you to take a sub. He's there to spectate the games, and that's it. Yeah. And the rest of his team is in Korea, boot camping in solo queue, and wishes he was there with them or something. Like, pretty much that's it. And it's like, well, I have zero expectations of this guy, and the number one thing that I read after he played was Ole still has his job. And I'm just like, that's messed up, but sure, you know? Yeah. And I'm not going to say anything about it because he got put in this shit position, and I'm not going to flame the guy for being underprepared when he clearly wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's like, there's no problem with Joey. It's like, Ole shouldn't be having to, like, and the thing is, too, subbing him out, I would argue, was the right thing to do because they bounced back from it and almost made it out of groups. Because by watching Joey suck, Ole learned, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad.
He's not that bad.
And that gave him the confidence. And then they go into day 3, and RNG just trolls the draft and fucks up horribly, and it allows Ole to get solo kills in lane with double.
Yeah, oh my.
And then that, like, process.
That's a great confidence.
That process built Team Liquid up to the point that they could have come back in this tournament, but, like, you still lost 4 games because of nerves.
Yeah, and that's unacceptable. Yeah. Especially when you're ending with 4 wins.
Yeah, they were 5-1 or 4-2 over the last 3 days.
Yeah, and so, like, that's what people care about the most. It's like, you see your team representing your region that could have done something if they were better prepared, if they could play like competitors, and that's the biggest thing.
And like, not every team was prepared either. Like,
oh yeah,
every team was like, you came fucking all the cons inting.
Yeah, like, we came in and we said, like, only really Flash Wolves had their shit together. You know, con and maybe Korea had a better read on the meta, but they underperformed. So Flash Wolves is doing great. Everyone else looks kind of up in the air. What is going on?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, sure, that's the case, but your solution shouldn't be the next day you bench yourself because you're playing bad. It's like, shit, you know, everyone fucking plays bad. You think Bjergsen doesn't have games where he plays bad? He doubleth the Victor, dashing on Victor as Lucian is still remembered to this day, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he's had bad fucking times. And, you know, what he did, he just keeps playing because...
Yeah,
that's the only way you can get better.
It's what you have to do, and like it turned out probably being the right thing to end up benching himself, but like it was like a correction for something that never should have got that bad.
Yeah, it was a situation where like they should have had some sort of coach or like I don't know exactly what kind of.
They have a sports psychologist who has worked with, I think, like Olympiads and like
he should have been there like on site helping with that situation. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
because it feels like for all the money that TL has, this shouldn't have been an oversight.
Yeah, absolutely not. And like, this isn't to say like this is like the first half of Team Liquid's MSI. It's just like they had the most internal issues probably of any team there, in that sense.
And that
just feels bad to lose.
Yeah, it feels really awful.
I have no problem admitting NA sucks. Like, I make fun of us all the time.
I think we suck.
I think we suck. Yeah, like, I think we are clearly behind Korea, China, and Europe.
Like, there's a reason why Kitty's new club is called For Fun, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm all about that. But it just feels bad because it feels like the people that are representing you aren't representing you at their best.
Yeah,
or at their potential.
Right, like, you know, Reckless had a bad week. He's supposed to be their best player. Obviously, they're not performing at their best. Khan's supposed to be one of their best players.
I would say even Pobelter isn't performing at his best. Yeah, Pobelter, arguable award for worst. I think it was a worst man. Arguable worst player at the event. I think
I would give it to. I think Warzone. I just hate Warzone.
Okay, he's legitimately like I would say bottom 5.
Yeah.
And that's like. That's really bad for a player that in NA I would say is probably near like the 4th, like very like middle of the pack kind of player, like upper middle pack player.
Yeah,
and at times has done very well against even the top of the NA, and so I would say he had a really bad tournament. And you know, usually if one player has a bad tournament, you have other people step up to take care of that void. But it felt like he had a bad event, and Ole just collapsed, and so like. Who's helping fill the void?
Smithy
actually played a great event. Like, all things considering, when your mid laner just doesn't apply pressure,
has to become a Malzahar one trick halfway through the tournament.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
It's like, come on, man. And like, Malzahar doesn't actually have pressure until, I would say, like, high levels. Like into the mid game where he becomes actually good, he always gets shoved in, so he never gets roam first, always falls behind on CS, and the mid lane always gets first priority. Smithy took that and still was able to create jungle leads.
The amount of times he got fucked in the jungle while still being relevant was pretty high. I wonder if he got fucked the most out of any jungler. He got like 8 buffed. He got like Cobelter didn't get a blue buff one game at all because like he was just getting constantly invaded.
Yeah, he got slammed, but still able to find impact, and that's something where it's like, they're lucky he was able to perform at that level for them to even have a chance in some of these games. Him and Doublelift played like
gods,
like pretty much as well as they could have to be able to carry up multiple underperforming members of their team.
Yeah, and I would say impact was impact. Like basically what you expected. Sometimes looked great, sometimes didn't. That's how he looked all regular season. That's just at this point in his career, that's who impact is. Like, if the team's playing well, impact will not be your problem. If the team's playing bad, he won't be.
And if you need a front line, if the meta is like pure tanks or gameplay, he's probably one of the better players you can have in any region.
Yeah,
I think that people talk a lot about his inability to play carries. I think that last game was a really bad example of it. I just think that he got really messed up from the level 1 and caps roaming because mid lane had to play like Karma and got pushed in early, which I don't even know if should happen. But it was like a snowball effect to where like the matchup's fine. Like, I actually think he played it okay, but he got put in such a bad position there.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad is picked usually to shit on GP, and you just couldn't do it.
He's usually one of the best tank players. Period. He understands the idea of frontlining and how to control team fights very, very, very well.
Yeah.
So I thought he played pretty much what you expect from him, and with 3 players playing well to like super above average, like very well, they almost were able to qualify.
Yeah, like the fact that they went 4 and they ended up going 4-3, including the tiebreaker match, but they were 4-2 over the last couple of days. If you like, I don't know,
had some semblance of a win.
Yeah, if you played anything like the last 3 days on the first 2,
you're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
and it applies to Fnatic too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, man, NA was better than Europe here. They just didn't, they got unlucky. Like,
no, there was no luck involved. Yeah. I'm just saying the nature of the situation is that I think that the player, this is a tournament where like people are gonna have to rebuild some of their value back. Like when the players come back from the international events, a lot of people are gonna be eyeing Pobelter and eyeing Ole, being like, are these guys recovered? Are they okay? Because those are the players where it's like the perception kind of got like, I would say, shattered a little bit during this event. And on the reverse, I would say like Smithy's value is only going up. Like, this guy, he's been on like 3 different teams. He's done well for like the last like 2 years.
I mean, like he goes through,
he goes through
after playing for this long, you will have phases where you don't look as good,
Dude, okay, let's talk about Smithy. Smithy is probably one of the few players I know who doesn't play League but still wins. So like, he's the player who I am all about the idea that like the player should be 100% committed to League of Legends. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Like, if you're not putting in at least bare minimum 12 hours a day, like 16-hour days thinking about the game, you're not going to succeed. Smithy is one of the rare exceptions, and from maybe what I've heard Medios as well, to where like what Smithy is like playing Fortnite, when his like a lot of time is done, like he goes in, does his job, and then goes kind of relaxed, does whatever he wants. But he always kind of delivers when he comes up, and he's kind of, for me, the exception to the rule. Like, don't look at Smithy and be like, that's a normal player, because he can get away with it. Not many other people can.
Right, and it's like probably partly a jungler thing too. Like, it's the least interactive role in some ways, so it's like you don't need to know 100 match. Like, if you think about the permutations, like I play this one champion, it can be played into these 6 or 7 things. I then need to know 6 matchups. I then play this other champion, 6 more matchups, and like
it is definitely a lot easier. But I would say that like he's kind of kept his value for so long.
Yeah.
That, like, this is yet another event where he could be like, he played great. Doublelift, this is an event where he can look back and be like, I did pretty well. Given the circumstances where my support maybe turn off his brain sometimes, like, I did pretty well. And again, this is going to be something where like Ole and Pobelter really need to kind of, I guess, rebuild maybe some of that confidence when summer split starts.
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing from both of them. Speaking about that final game, like it was like Pobelter lost priority mid, Caps was all over the fucking map. Your tank top laner is now in a carry, and he's not getting help really, so he's falling behind. And then your AD carry is with his support, who's not using his support champion correctly.
Like,
so
I think people really didn't understand how it got to that position where Impact started losing. It was a situation where like they got the first blood level 1, and they were just like, oh wow, this means that TL is set really, really well. But no one, like, they didn't consider what they gave up for that. Their Pobelter rotated in early, so Talia got first shove. Impact doesn't have TP, so when he got Chunky at the back and was level 1, the gameplay's level 3, building a huge wave diving in. Caps is only able to roam in that matchup, because by the way, Karma out shoves Talia because Karma rotated first into the jungle to get the inside track onto the collapse.
Yeah.
And so like a bunch of different things happened to where like, oh, no wonder Caps was able to roam and be up CS, because Pobelter spent his early TP to stabilize essentially top lane, which still was relatively unstable up until like he was able to recover CS around like 10-minute mark, but by then Caps started taking over the game.
Yeah, Caps has already like gone top twice, bot once I think or something. Like it was crazy, and I got
him. Is that him?
See if that, I don't know what that is.
Does he have a key?
No, it's not Josh. Hey, what's up? What is he? Yeah, I'm actually choosing something. Ready? Alright, thank you. Alright. No clue what that is.
Sure. Diamond 1 police. I'm far away from that. What the hell, guys? Get away from me.
Hey, I'm pretty far away from it too.
Good for both of us then. Then yeah, I think that's the general case. I think Pobelter is definitely someone that ended up. Usually, what happens when you lose like that, I think he definitely got his confidence shaken this event. Like having to be put on mouse duty is something that's like not very enjoyable.
And like Malzahar is really good in certain situations, but they were first picking him Malzahar.
It was a situation where like I don't think they were confident in him matching up to some of the other mid laners, and so they had to give him picks that were safe enough to where he could play into anything.
And you can lose and still be effective, because Malzahar will always flash all. It'll always force the guys to go QSS.
And I think that's just like that's not what I expected to see from Pobelter. Someone who I would consider to be like a relatively good overall player.
I mean, he got the MVP for their finals.
Yeah, like he's like the type of player that like I always think of like, oh, that guy's like a pretty good Victor player. You know, like this guy plays like
his Azir's nasty.
Yeah, his Azir is really good, but flew out of the meta, right? And then his Rise games weren't great at the event, which is probably why they pushed him off of it. And so I think that Rise priority in general wasn't that high because it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And I think TL learned that the hard way. So a lot of Pobelter's really good picks ended up being a lot worse than expected.
Yeah. I don't know. It was an event where, in terms of pure outcome, if you look at like not how it happened, I wouldn't say as an NA fan I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like it's, you know, we barely didn't make it out of groups. We had to play a tiebreaker and lost. Like that sounds fine, but going 0-4, a player benches himself, you come rallying back to then lose, like that is not a nice path.
Yep. And so yet again, I would say NA kind of disappointed. I would say still that there are a lot of good things about this event, even for NA, and every team that goes to international events levels up way faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
So like, do not think that this TL roster is done. You know, I think that like going back, TL is gonna smash kids.
You
like,
think so? There's always like that kind of MSI hangover.
Oh, that is actually the only exception is when I remember when COG came back and just got
TSM
clapped.
came back and didn't look so hot.
Yeah, it's because they had to take extra rest, and then they did the meta shift so hard.
Yeah.
Like, super hard. So I will say, maybe that's not the case. You're right.
Because they're going to come back. They're going to take like another week or two while other teams are like in Korea right now.
They improved a lot on the specific patch. So I guess like, I would say hopefully they become a better team together and recognize their weaknesses and strengths better because of the event.
Well, that too. And like, they showed that they can compete. They beat basically everybody at this event at least one time. So like, They have the skill.
What are you trying to say? Are you saying the gap is closing?
No.
Are you sure?
Not at all.
That sounds very close. That sounds very close.
No, I'm just saying that, like...
You're saying we're over...
I'm saying NA gets out of groups in Worlds sometimes.
NA's over here, and the rest of the regions are over here, and they're getting closer.
No, I'm saying from the dawn of time, when a North American team is playing well, they can get out of groups.
Okay. I was just trying to clarify.
Yeah. I would also say that, like, I really didn't like how in the first 2 days, like, people were talking about, like, man, NA sucks balls. Like, what was happening with Team Liquid was, like, indicative of the entire region. It was like, it's like, yo, I know we're not good, but, like, don't tell me that we're that bad. We're not that fucking bad.
Yeah.
Thank God Team Liquid salvaged themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
I would have hated to go, like, 2-8.
I was expecting, like, at most 4 wins. And to be honest, like, I got 4 wins. And in a way that, like, was an okay recovery.
Yeah.
Good turnaround.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. CLG got out of it, did well at MSI one time. C9 has done well at
Everyone
Worlds
remembers the
times.
CLG run because it's the best international run ever.
For North America.
The men that combined perfectly. Stixley had the best tournament of his life, and Huhi had, like, one of the best tournaments, period.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we remember it fondly in rose-tinted goggles. We put it on a pedestal because nothing's coming close soon.
Yeah.
Until this
Worlds.
Where nothing can stop the NA teams that
TSM's
qualify.
going to come flying back.
Except for themselves.
They're amazing. They're going to be the best team ever.
Oh, yeah, they had BasedYoona as a sub, so, like, of course they were going to go.
That's what I was saying. If they have BasedYoona there, you sub out Ole, you put Yuna in.
Oh, my God. Yuna always tells me how nasty his support is. Fucking easy, free win. Kingzone, fucking joke team.
Anything else to say about Team Liquid and NA?
Not really. I think that the end-all, be-all is Team Liquid should have had a better structure to where what happened with Ole shouldn't have happened, regardless of any kind of preparation. You know, they could have missed. Because I agree with a lot of people in chat that said, hey, you know, other teams weren't prepared. Other teams took breaks. And I think that's completely, like, normal to say.
Yeah.
So aside from that, some people underperformed. Congrats to the top 4 that are able to make it. NA will not be joining you. And so I guess this is a good segue to go into the predictions.
Absolutely. So the matchups are Flash Wolves versus Kingzone and RNG versus Fnatic, I believe. I'm going to double check that.
I'm trying to think if...
Yeah. So RNG versus Fnatic. Any world Fnatic wins. I'm looking at a 30 and a handshake.
Stylistically, they're one of the worst teams they can go up against, I would say. And before the event, I would say there was a 0% chance. During the event, I would say there's a small chance, or enough of a chance that I would say that there will be a couple games being taken away.
A couple? 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
So, like, I think Broxah has looked really good, and if him and Caps get a good level 1 like they did at the start of the tournament, they can win a game that way.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only way, because I don't think Whippo's going to do much against Let Me.
People keep thinking, like, Reckless has this mental block against Uzi, and it might be true, might not be true. We may respect him too much, all this kind of stuff. But facts are facts. His performance against each other has not looked great.
Yeah, even if it's not a mental block thing, it's just Uzi's better. Like,
that's still a fucking problem.
Uzi's better.
Yeah, that's still a problem. And it's like, I think that Shahu will be able to play, like, neutralizing picks that will support Uzi to be able to take over games.
Yeah, I mean...
And Whipple's not at the point where I'm, like, carrying the game.
Yeah, against Let Me, who is very, very competent. So, like, you're looking at MLXG to turn MLXD, but then they'll bring Karsa in, and I think...
Yeah, I think the best of 5 Karsa will do...
He'll come in and be average at best, which is, like, I think all they need.
Yeah. This is just a bad... Like, I'm trying to think of the other qualifying teams. You have Kingzone, you have RNG...
And Flash Wolves.
Fnatic. Who would they have preferred?
I think maybe Kingzone.
You think they wouldn't have preferred Flash Wolves?
I think Flash Wolves would be an interesting one. I'm just concerned that Caps can't get anything done versus Maple. And he feels like they're...
But I feel like Betty wouldn't be able to get a humongous lead on Reckless,
right, it feels
even
like,
though he's done well.
Yeah, maybe. And I can't see BDD getting smashed by Caps. Like, at best, I just see that turning into like a kind of volatile matchup if both of them are playing Chaos.
So
I don't know.
I think that this is probably one of the worst picks that Fnatic have gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure RNG knew that. So Unlucky. 3-1.
Yeah, I think it'll be 3-0. I can see a world where they win a game, but I think Xiaohu will just be like, I'm playing Talia, I'm playing Karma, I'm playing Malzahar.
Good luck.
Go prioritize winning bot lanes bottom.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they can win with luck against Uzi. The guy is transcendent in some of his plays. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, some stuff you're just like.
It's so funny when it's like, oh, Kaisi gets banned against Uzi a lot. I'm like, why? Uzi's not that good at that champ. See him play the one game with Kaisi. I'm like, all right, you know what? Uzi is that good on that champ.
Yeah.
Let's never give it to him again. Good job, guys.
God, dude. Uzi's nasty.
Yeah, I think it's crazy to me that guy is so young, but also plays so well. And I think over the years he's only developed a better mental state for himself. He reminds me of like he is similar in my regards to like the Chinese version of Doublelift in the sense that like they both
Doublelift is Chinese.
I hate you so much right now. The LPL version of Doublelift, God. And then they remind me of similar ways where like they may not have been great teammates in the past, but both have kind of matured and kind of become standout players to where their teammates can trust them fully, or to a large extent to be able to do their job, and they do it very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, Uzi, when he started on the scene, was like 16, clearly fucking amazing, like far and away the best player on his team. Like, Season 4 was basically like, pick shit to protect Uzi. Lulu mid, go. Like, Lulu top, go. Like,
but you'd always hear behind the scenes of like, he can't play with anyone else but these supports because he gets like too emotional. This guy's going crazy. And you hear stuff like that about Doublelift in the past too. Like, he's been a bad teammate here and there. But like, I think generally like they're very similar storylines. And when I see that they're both AD carry mains, they both developed over the years to the point where they could be like, not only just like, I would say, great carries for the team, but almost great leaders as well.
Yeah. Uzi's not 17, is he? Is he that young? I thought it was a little older.
Is he?
Wait, no, he's older than that, right? Motherfuckers are not trolling.
I don't even know. Oh my god. He's 21.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, what the
God,
fuck?
he's not 17.
I thought he started at like 16.
Holy shit, I'm so old.
I thought season 2 he was
or
season 3. I thought he was.
Oh yeah, cool. He's 21.
Yeah. I was like, what?
We're done with this. I don't want to keep talking about Uzi's age. So let's move on to the next matchup. Oh wait, we don't even.
Yeah, Kingzone versus Flash Wolves. This one's actually interesting.
Oh, I always think, and this has always been true, that Korea does better in best of fives.
Yeah, always.
So always, never been wrong before, with the exception of I think like the weaker Korean team. Usually, the top seed does well.
I mean,
always well.
Korea has lost one best of 5 at Worlds to a non-Korean team, right?
But if we're talking historically, any team that's gonna beat a Korean team is Flash Wolves.
Oh yeah.
What's their score?
Taiwan #1.
What's their score against non-SKT Korean teams? They're just like perfect record. Like I think they have 2 losses and like 8 wins. They're just so dominant. And I think this version of Flash Wolves is one of the most promising ones, which I didn't think I'd say once a team lost Karsa.
Yeah, I think Betty has stepped up to be a beast, and like that was always the problem with Taiwan / specifically Flash Wolves. They never had a good AD carry. They had like On, who could play Jinx.
I think that's a really good thing, to say, because notice in other iterations of Flash Wolves, you think they're like the explosive team because they need to explode, or because they lose all the late games against better carries from other teams. But nowadays they can always depend on Betty to do very well.
Yeah, and like that's I think kind of allowed Maple to play less like I need to win the fucking game right now, and he's looking really safe, really good. Mujin has looked really, really good as well. Hanabi is a little scary to me, but like Khan's not playing great thus far, so like
that's the biggest thing to say is like probably going through top side would be what I'd be most worried about. But with Khan's current performance, it's like, well, I would need Khan or their jungler to step up a lot. Like I need Peanut to be like playing better.
And I didn't think Peanut played that bad, so I was a little surprised to see Cuz get so many reps. But like, both of them have looked decent, not horrible, not great.
I mean, Cuz got played into like EVOS. I don't even know what that means. Like he does pretty well. It's like him and BDD go like 9-0 together. It's like, okay, well, he did pretty well. I don't know if he's gonna get that against Flash Wolves. I don't think it's gonna be the case. I think this is definitely a game where like I don't think. Usually, what happens is like you bet on one side of the map winning or one position being better than the other. I think right here you look at the positions that Kingzone can go through, and whatever happens, I don't know. I don't think they can go through mid. I think Maple right now is playing like a very like, I would say controlled game.
Yeah.
And mid is like a fucking fortress.
It feels like both are kind of playing that way. Like we have seen BDD on the Yasuo, but I don't think they're gonna want to do that versus Maple. That just seems too risky.
Like that's a fortress right there. I think right now you're going through side lanes. Well, I can see. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a fight in the side lanes to see what happens, and that's a lot. A lot of it's that's gonna be which jungler performs better, in my opinion.
I would say I think Flash Wolves would be the favorite in this series if it wasn't like if you just took the group stage performance of both these teams and like who do you think's gonna win? I'd say Flash Wolves, but it's like but that other team's a Korean team
in a best of five.
They're
gonna play better.
Yeah. So
and especially with a couple days to kind of think about like, hey, this is what we did badly on. Like they can kind of finally be like, what happened? Like why did we play so poorly? It's okay. Well, Khan, you need to stop being an idiot, and like maybe we can finally do some stuff with your side of the map. You know, think about it.
Yeah.
And so I think hopefully, I actually don't even know who I would want to win. I think it'd be cool if Flash Wolves won.
I would love for Flash Wolves to win.
Like just take the whole tournament. I think that'd be great.
And I think Flash Wolves versus China or RNG would be a great finals in terms of hype.
It would. It would
that,
be really
that's
good.
That's some rivalry shit.
I prefer Taiwan to win. I, however, think this is a complete coin flip.
Yeah,
I don't have a preference.
I think it's really cool.
Or I don't have an idea who wins.
I think I'm gonna say 3-2 for Kingzone, but I have a feeling what it's gonna be is like if Kingzone wins, it won't. I think it's
not
like,
gonna be 5 games.
Yeah, because Flash Wolves is playing so controlled right now that like if the other team is playing better than them, they'll lose slowly. They'll look convincing, and it'll be close games, but it's probably not a full 5. But I don't know.
Kingzone Flash Wolves are coming out of like a lot of losses.
Yeah,
maybe they got more figured out toward the end of the group stage. So I would probably give it slightly to Kingzone as well. I won't say like 3-2 or whatever, but I would say that they are slightly favored. And unfortunately, I think that they will probably win the whole event. Oh, actually. All right, in a hypothetical, where do you put
China versus KZ?
China versus KZ. Who do you got?
I think at that point I'd still take Kingzone. Because if they get through Flash Wolves, they're probably good enough to win the whole thing.
Oh, this is one of the events where I'm just like, China's looking...
Uzi.
China's looking pretty good.
Uzi can't beat Koreans, man.
I don't know.
It's his destiny to lose.
I don't know. He's good.
He's really, really fucking good. But I feel like we were talking about how you can't play that aggressive style versus Maple.
Yeah.
I think you can play it versus Xiaohu. I think Xiaohu has looked a little suspect at points in this tournament, and if like BDD needs to like go hamburgers, I think they can like kind of adjust their style to do that.
Okay. I want Uzi to win.
I would love if Uzi finally won an international competition.
That'd be insane.
He finally won his regional one and then instantly goes out and finally wins an international.
Yeah, this would be like the back-to-back. I would love that. It's great. Okay. I think that kind of wraps it up for our prediction segment and kind of our whole show.
Yeah, for the most part, I can't think of anything else to really cover. It's been a decent tournament. In terms of gameplay, it's been really good.
Yes.
But I think like stage kind of sucks.
Yeah, I would prefer NA to do better. What's new?
Yeah.
What's new? Aside from that, I think that it was an overall good tournament.
Yeah.
And I have... Like, when I go through some of these VODs, I'm not feeling awful aside from the number of VODs I have to watch.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and being like, okay, this game was cool. And the stomps that didn't happen, cool. They just stomped out, and that's all I got to see, you know? And I am more than happy to be able to like, cover this tournament. Now, this is the time where we're going to make that big decision, Mark. The decision on whether or not we keep following the event. So, for me, I don't know. What do you want to say?
I mean, I'm not doing much right now, so it's probably on you. Like, this was not a very difficult thing for me to do, to wake up and set this up. You know, I didn't have to push other things around, fit you in somewhere. You know, like, this was like, when do you ever want to do this?
Don't tell my viewers that. What the hell? They're just gonna...
Scarra, I understand. Like, I'm really busy right now, so if you know, we can put.
Yeah. If you're busy, then I guess this may be our last episode of GLT until. Either the season starts or the next season.
I wanted July 4th. Like, that was all time one of the favorite things that we did.
July 4th. Oh, my.
The drunk July 4th player ratings. That has to become an annual thing.
Are we doing player ratings for the entire league again?
Dude, that was so fun. Do you not enjoy that shit?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll get other people too. We'll make it like a big thing.
Okay. I'm down.
I'll try and find more people to get on it, so it's less like you don't have to feel like I have to watch every game because I'm representing half the votes or whatever.
Yeah. Holy I mean, to be fair, I think I ended up watching. I said I wouldn't follow LCS as much.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot more stuff on the weekends and just enjoying them more.
Yeah.
But I ended up watching about 40% of the games, which I would say still makes me a very dedicated viewer.
Yeah, I mean, you probably weren't watching like Optic games, so you're probably gonna have a hard time placing like Power of Evil. But like
he would actually the games I did see he did pretty well.
I like Power of Evil a lot.
He's like one of the top performers for sure. And for a person who wasn't a big PoE fan coming over, I wasn't sure how good he'd do. I wasn't sure his role on Misfits transition here. I thought PoE did fairly well given his position.
He feels like a bit of a, like I don't know if you know football, but they call him like a game manager quarterback. It's like a quarterback who's like not gonna like throw the long ball and like take over a game, but like
he'll be consistently good.
Consistently good, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like I think that's the kind of mid laner he turned out to be, and like the fact that he can be that type of mid laner on an international stage, like that's what Pobelter needed to be this tournament. He couldn't do it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what Power of Evil can do. It feels like wherever. So like that's pretty impressive.
That's kind of how I always see Smithy. He's like that guy who's like he's never making that highlight like I don't know like humongous.
He's not going to get
montage.
Graves and go like absolutely ham on another jungler.
Yeah, he's not playing Lee Sin and going 20-0.
Yeah.
What he is doing is playing like Sejuani and going like 0-1-8 and setting up his team and stealing Baron.
All right, Baron is a Baron steal is not what we're talking about here. Like, yes, you can carry a game through like a great Baron steal, but we mean like dominant early games, like a pop-off game. Like a Baron steal is not a pop-off.
No, I think he's typically the guy who reads the map a lot better and plays above average for like his entire career, or like the average of his career. He's just done very, very well. Okay. So I will say, on top of this MSI, I will think about it, but I probably don't want to do another GLT for this MSI.
That's fine.
I will 100% consider the July 4th. I will do it if we get enough.
To do it.
If we get a couple more guests or like a couple of guests, I'm completely.
If we
down
don't
for
do
it.
GLT of it, I'm still doing it.
Okay, we'll do it.
We might not be GLT. I can just be like the fucking player rating.
Nah, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do that. So that's something that you guys can look forward to. Our drunk July. For people who don't know what this is, would you like to explain?
Yeah. So last year, when we did GLT all the time, on 4th of July, everyone has that day off. We decided to get together, do a little special where we all wore American flag stuff, celebrated the 4th of July by getting drunk, and we did a Madden-style rating for every single player, rating them from technically 100 to 1, but really it was like 100 to like high 60s. And it was on the scale of international play. So, the highest rated player we had, I think, was like Bjerg at like a 94 or something.
Which will definitely be going a little bit lower this year.
Depends how he does in summer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, that said, do you want to do some Q&A? Because we haven't done...
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm completely down to chill with you guys for a bit. I got nothing else. Oh, I have patch note rundown to do. You know what? I'll do that when I get back home, right after this show.
I haven't read the patch notes.
You'll see patch notes. You'll see the patch note rundown from me after the show, probably in like 2 hours.
What do you think about Pyke?
Oh, I played him.
Oh,
in
yeah?
Like a sandbox mode. He is... I think that the most interesting part of his kit is obviously his ulti resetting, like Darius ulti, but also what they're doing with his passive, which is health. All health translates to AD. So you cannot buy health on the champion. He has a flat amount of health.
Oh, what?
You can buy health, but it just translates in a percentage to AD. So, like, whatever happens, he can never be tanky outside of, like,
Whoa. I thought it was like Vladimir, like, HP that you get gets converted.
His like, apparently from what I understand, because I didn't realize this either when I was playing him, but, like, the health items, any extra health just turns into AD. and which is very interesting from my perspective. I think that's a really, really new way to do these kind of Vladimir-like transitions and to make interesting hits out of it.
That is really weird.
So similar to Jin with attack speed.
Right, yeah. I'm just like struggling. It's like my take on him without like seeing the numbers and seeing anything. I'm just like, how can you make this guy only a support and yet strong?
That's one of the ways.
But like, what I'm saying is like,
he has a flat damage execute, but to get people to that flat damage is gonna suck for you. Like you can't do that in the solo lane. Maybe you could do that in the jungle. Here he falls kind of low. Maybe you can play him as a top lane bruiser, but you don't get health.
Well, so like, can you not play him mid then? Like,
I'll
he
try.
He
I will feed to find out, you know?
Yeah, can you like bitch out the first couple levels, use your passive to kind of stay healed up, and then like roam around the map and just be a dick?
I will feed to find out for you, okay? So, we'll figure it out, but generally, that's what I'm most interested in. They finally added the assassin support, and as an assassin player, I'm excited.
Yeah, but like what I don't get is like, if his numbers are good enough to be an assassin support, how can you, like, you really can't run him somewhere else?
I think what people are saying is the cooldowns are too long. And so, like, this is definitely true when a mid lane when you're playing against something like Talia that can shove really hard.
Yeah.
Where it's like, assassins right now already are struggling.
Yeah,
against bone plating and all that crap. So, you're probably not going to be able to do much. And I don't want to have a situation where I'm playing a champion with high cooldowns that can't wave clear, and I'm watching Soul like crush my team.
Yeah, well, I was assuming that they were that patch because I saw them talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna add a bunch of HP to minions, so you can't wave clear them as easily. And I guess that's not happening. Because I was like, at level 3, you have a pull in, a stun, a stealth. Like that's some nasty gank setup.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's good. And so I think this is definitely a champion that you're gonna feed your ass off early.
Oh yeah,
100%. Like
Pyke's win rate on release will be 40%.
Yeah, something really... And if it's above that, it's probably broken.
Yeah.
So, it should be low.
I don't know. I'm excited. I hope it works out just to, like, have different things to do. But, it just seems so weird to me that, like, if the guy's gonna... Like, if the point of him is to be a kill lane, but he doesn't get tanky and he can't be a frontliner for your team, and he's going to run around the map and get, like, ass blasted. He's unplayable from behind. And then from ahead, like he can't dive because he's not tanky. So like
he only follows up initiators.
He can pull someone in, but like the way dives work is like supports walk in, Alistar pulls, Leona EQ.
He has to play like a Janna, but he's an assassin.
Yeah,
and from my perspective, I play Cat, so usually you can never open unless you're 5-0.
Yeah,
and so I understand that playstyle completely. It just means playing him without a front line is going to just be terrible.
Yeah, I guess you have to think of him like a ranged support technically.
Yes. You because the thing about assassins right now is you just play outskirts until you know you can.
Yeah.
And maybe he just is not useful up until that point. You just got to throw the pick. Okay, anyways, what else do you guys want to know?
Yeah. Sorry, answer the questions. I didn't read any. I was busy talking about that motherfucker.
Everyone is.
Should NA be a wildcard region?
No, let's be real. That's stupid.
No, I mean, like, you saw what happened when C9 played the wildcard regions. They fucking blasted everyone and looked like the greatest team in the world.
That's just C9 on a normal day.
Where's that C9 shirt?
Our number one representing international presence outside of that one MSI, that's CLG.
We're not doing patch notes together. Stop asking that.
God bless CLG MSI 2016.
Yeah. I don't think we should be a wildcard region. I think this is another thing. Like, I hate how bad people are at evaluating like quality of play based off how teams look when playing worse teams, like Supermassive and Gambit and things like that. And like, even to an extent in the Master Series right now, where like Froggen was shitting on kids, and it's like, don't get me wrong, Froggen's a good player, but like, there's a reason you haven't seen that much in the LCS in the last couple of years. It's like. And even that the other wildcard like thing, like I saved this thing that this guy wrote this massive ass like people are underestimating the wildcard regions, and then the event happened and they got fucking blasted.
It reminds me a lot when people are telling me that like certain players in North America are very good, and then when I ask other pros' opinions of those players, they're just like, this guy's awful. Like usually the best thing I can get out of certain people is that this player will be good given a year of training, or like 6 months of training, and I'm just like, that's the best they can give me. And like I think people get largely skewed results because like they'll see some guy pop off in solo queue and they'll see some guy do really really well here. But, like the people who pop off in solo queue aren't going to be the best players. And just on that note, like the people who pop off against like challenger players are not going to be the best professional players.
Yeah, and like they can get there, but it's usually a transition.
This is a good question to talk about. How good do you think Froggen is? Think he's still good?
I think he's a mid-level mid laner, but his strengths are so individual that he looks better than he is to the eyeball. Like I think he is a great laner. I think he plays team fights really well. I think if you ask like Froggen to do things that a mid laner should do, he's great at all that stuff. I just don't. I don't think it's that great.
I think his like shot calling and like his, I would say maybe understanding of how specific situations to work out is not great. I think if you ever wanted to play with Froggen, you need to have a roster built around like working, like someone leading him. I would say he feels like the type of guy you suspect should be a leader, but works after a lot of testing can't be.
He can't be your number one option.
Yes. So in my opinion, he's always worked best with a jungler that shot calls and is better. But it's hard for you to recruit anyone who's like better than he is at a jungling level.
That's the thing is like from what I've heard, he's a relatively stubborn, like a lot of players, a relatively stubborn person. So like if he's gonna take orders from somebody, he expects them to be better than him, and it's fine to find it's hard to find someone better than him.
Yeah. So like this is a great example of like I would say when Doublelift first joined TSM, you could hear how he talks about Bjergsen. Like, he was just like Bjergsen's just amazing. Like Bjergsen's God, and like you could tell that like if Bjergsen told him, hey, shut up, we're doing it this way, he'd probably be like, yes sir. Or he'd probably consider it better than if someone who's underperforming goes up to him and he's like, hey, shut up. You'd be like, what did he say to me?
Yeah.
Bitch, I'll remember that. You know, kind of stuff like that, you know? So where rather than having to, I guess I would say that he's probably the type of guy who evaluates worth based on gameplay.
Yep.
And that's got good and bad things.
Yeah, I think Froggen's a really good individual player. I think when you look at him to like be the playmaker for a team, he just doesn't have it. And like even at the end of his time on Echo Fox, like that, he was trolling. Like he there was a time where like everyone, like I never forget this play. Baron's super low, the enemy team's doing it. They're all trapped in the pit. He's Talon. They're relatively low HP, and this Karma like runs away, and he chases the Karma out of the pit because he knows he can get that kill, rather than go into the pit, maybe die, but make the play that can save his team and like win the game. And like that's just the type of play. Like that's just a little bit of who he is.
I think that he can function on specific teams. It's just going to be really interesting to see if people can put the pieces together.
And I think what OG did is probably one of those teams. Like if Forgiven is able to be Forgiven of old and like lane dominant in a beast, then I think Froggen is actually pretty good on that team. Mm-hmm. So
and I think Froggen can work in a lot of the other top teams, but the problem is at the moment the top teams don't need mid laners, with the exception of maybe. No, the top teams don't need mid laners, and so him having to insert himself into a lower level team, and then finding that level of kind of play is going to be difficult.
Yeah. What would you say? Pobelter gets benched, Ola gets benched. You get Xell, Froggen.
People have been talking up Xell for a long time to me.
Biofrost.
And I would be much more comfortable with Biofrost.
Yeah.
I would say like that would be a very interesting team. Following that team, I would 100% follow that team.
Because like it might work because Impact, Smithy, and Biofrost seem chill enough to handle like what would probably be a pretty argumentative mid jungle or mid and AD carry.
But I think that's like an environment that like people on that team will get very good. Like or like I don't know. I'd love to see that team happen.
I would love to see it happen, but I also don't think it will. And
I want my boy Pope to stay in the LCS. Don't come out. He's
the last
remaining NA mid laner.
I was about to say, even if that did happen, I actually don't think it would be great. I actually don't think it would work out. I think it'd be a fun experiment.
Oh yeah, if we could just like play like what, Football Manager, but
yeah.
It's like LCS Manager.
Franchise mode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think Pope's really, really good.
Yeah, I actually think Pope just had a terrible tournament.
I think he had an awful tournament. Like, I bet he comes back to NA and he's going to be top 4 mid laner.
Yep, could definitely see that happening.
Febby would be really good on TL, actually. Febby would be fantastic.
He's a very interesting player.
He's a bit of a KDA player.
But just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And if he's on a team with double lift, I actually don't think it matters that much.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah.
The funniest thing that like I would really like to see because I've been playing against is it Levy or Levi?
Levi, yeah.
A lot during the solo queue off season. That guy is so good. Like I'm actually waiting. Like what is like 100 Thieves doing with that guy? Is he gonna get on the main roster? Is he gonna get traded? He is good enough to where like I am very, very much interested where that guy is going because he is beyond talented. That guy is crazy good.
Yeah, his English was pretty bad. He didn't do that great in NA or in Academy, but I think that's purely synergy / like environment stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's your all-star team to win NA or in Win Worlds 2018?
I don't even know, man. Like this is I would say regardless what happens. It's so weird because it depends on the meta, right?
Yeah.
If the meta anywhere has carries in it, Huni has got to be up for consideration. I think didn't the All-Star ballot happen and then like
he was only
pretty much unanimously chosen. Actually, when I hear people lane against Huni, people are always just like, this guy's so good.
Yeah, I think he was the only unanimous or close to it, but I think it does depend on the meta a lot because
and I would say like and this is the weirdest thing is like this year is strange because earlier years I would say Afromu has kind of been a hit or miss player, but like as he switched over to 100 Thieves, I would say his value has increased because he was able to get like a new team to the finals, or I would say they finished first and then they ended top 4, right? And so like I would say that like he kind of rejuvenated my general interest in him as a player. I think that he has maybe a lot longer of a lifespan than I originally thought.
Yeah, it did feel like I think it was kind of the same that happened with Smithy, where it's like they've just been there so long, they're so comfortable in that situation that like a change of scenery is needed.
Exactly, and so like he feels like maybe not much better player, but like it kind of feels that way. And I would even say like on some level like Medio surprised me too as a recovering. The recovering WoW player turned into LCS player, and he's actually like really smart about how he plays the game. Reminds me to some extent about like Smithy, where it's like regardless how long he's out, like he understands jungle to a level where like he can always do some stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I'd much rather Smithy than I think anyone else in NA.
Really?
Yeah, who would you take? Would you take Dardoch over him?
Dardoch actually did a really good job this season.
Dardoch was fantastic this season, but I don't know if he could like if you have a team of Echo Fox was not a team of superstars. It was a team with one superstar.
Yeah.
And and Dardoch you would argue was the other one.
Well, let me ask: are you taking any other AD that's not double lift?
No, you're taking double lift.
Okay, I thought so too. Then in the support role, who are you taking?
I think Afro.
I would take Afro or Bio. I want someone who's working really well with double.
Yeah.
I think it's Afro.
I think Afro and Bio, depending on team synergy stuff, like if they're gonna butt heads, like it's probably not gonna go that great.
And I would at that point probably agree with you in the fact that like Smithy is the best way to gel that team together. You're always gonna get above average, consistent performance from him, and he's the type of guy I know from working with him and talking to him. He kind of fit his way into anything. Like he's like you got this big puzzle, but he's like the Allen wrench. Like,
yeah.
He can kind of put himself anywhere.
Yeah. So what I would say is Smoothie's a good follow-up, but I like just based off the last split, I would take Afro over him.
Yeah, Smoothie didn't have a great last split.
Yeah, and I think...
And not to say that he's a bad player. I still think he's like top 3 in the region.
Yeah, he could easily have a better summer split than Afro, and then at the end of the end of summer, I'm saying I'd rather Smoothie than Afro, potentially. But for right now, I'd rather Afro. I think his communication is a little bit better, too, which is going to be pretty important on like a star-studded roster. I would take Smithy, I would take Bjergsen, and then I would take...
Oh, you're taking Bjerg?
I would take Bjerg,
all right.
Most likely. Depends how he looks, but I think I'd probably take him because...
I'd probably take him too.
What I'd also want to do is if it's a carry top meta, I would take
Huni?
Huni. But if it's not, I would take Flame.
Oh, let's go. Dude, Flame looked so good this season. I was talking to Wild Turtle who came on BTR, and he asked me about his team and like how I saw them. I'm like, all I know about your team is that Flame has been playing like unbelievable.
He was on a garbage team and like
his numbers were insane.
Yeah. So and like the thing is, he's really good at working by himself. Like he has like 3 champions he's gonna play. No one's gonna ban them out because he's not a priority on the team. And if you do ban him out, I guarantee you he has a 4th prepared.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't require resources. For the most part, like he's fine being on an island. You can play towards him if you want to, but if you have Doublelift and Bjerg, fucking leave him on an island. Have Smithy do something else. Like I think,
and Smithy is a good thing about Smithy compared to other players is like, for instance, DragonX is very good at camping top lane.
Best at camping top.
Like,
he is so much better at camping top than anywhere else.
Exactly, but like when you look at like, Smithy, he's I would say competent in doing the whole map.
Yeah,
he doesn't specialize too hard in being able to camp a specific lane. So he's good all over. Dardoch, amazing at camping top lane. He also had a great top laner to camp for.
Yeah, and like even when they had Lorlo, they had good synergy then. They played with Piglet, who was really lane dominant. So I think Dardoch can be good at ganking bottom, but it's not like his natural affinity. He doesn't like going bottom as much. Like some junglers just prefer lanes to gank, and like he was the top one. At least how it seemed. But
wow, we're at the point where I'm picking Smithy as the first pick to go international. That's crazy.
Well, who else?
No. I don't disagree. And Dardoch is a great example of someone's stock who went up a lot during the last split. Like that guy.
I mean, you would have never even considered him until this split.
Yeah, and in this split, I'm just like, holy shit! Like, he actually did do a lot. And if it sucks that like the meta shifted to like tank tops, and the bot lane became even more important than it already was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they had a bad bot.
They had one of the worst bot lanes in playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah. I would also say like if he continues to, it was a one-time thing. So like if he doesn't keep this up, it's a little hard to be like, yeah, I want him. But if he dicks Summer again, like at that point maybe you're just like, yeah, it's great to have a pop-off jungler in an international competition who can maybe salvage some games. But I don't know. Is there another top? Because I'm like,
we've talked about this for a long time.
Yeah, we talked about this a long time.
Is there another top? Wait, I don't think so.
I don't think I'd take Hanser.
I wouldn't consider. The only other person I consider is Impact. You know what you're getting with Impact.
Yeah.
And
someday.
He did not have a good split. We're really considering him. He's a good player. I just don't think he fit well this split.
So what's funny with Someday is like he actually ended up I think getting the 3rd team vote, which was like
really.
Yeah, he had a really good last 4 weeks when, 4 weeks is 40% of the season. Don't get me wrong. He had a really good end to the season where they went, and went on an 8-1 winning streak or whatever. And Someday was really good during that, but he was also straight booty the first couple weeks. And like,
it's a very interesting.
They were more consistent players, which is why I was surprised to see him get that distinction.
For me, I didn't even consider him because I thought that like this spring split didn't convince me enough that he's a go-to player. Whereas like if I'm looking for a go-to player, like I know what Hooney's bringing me. This guy on carries, he's gonna be good.
He will define your team's play style.
Yes.
Much like Doublelift will define your team's play style, which is why it's a little scary to pair them up.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I actually do think Someday is actually incredible as a player, but I think that he did not find his groove and his team nearly quick enough for me to be confident.
I think he is a fantastic player. You and I talked a ton in GLT previously, like even when Dignitas wasn't doing that great, we're just like Someday's so fucking good.
Yeah, we're literally just oh my god.
I still feel the same way, but just like his time in North America there's some players who just don't look as good overseas, and I think that's kind of like what he's going through. Whereas like Hooney feels at home overseas, you can say. Like,
do you think Kiwi is a better plug and play player at MSI over Ole? Yeah, I think Kiwi would carry TL. 100%. Predict the top 3 NA representatives for Worlds.
TL, C9, TSM.
Yeah.
C9's the one I'm least confident on.
I always think TSM's going to come back. The real question for me is TSM going to roster change? In my opinion, they need to add at least one backup player.
For jungle or for...
Whoa. Why do you immediately ask
Well,
for
because
jungle?
it's not going to be Bjerg. It's not going to be Sven and Nithhi because the whole reason for getting them was keeping them together. So then it has to be jungler top. And
I just think they probably need like a specialized player to help out jungle. But it'll be interesting.
Levi. They didn't have a
Can
slot.
They afford
no.
to? They don't have it.
Yeah.
He's interesting. Yeah, I'm really interested to see if any team will make roster changes.
It feels like
Stunt already got traded somewhere.
Optic and FlyQuest are already making roster changes.
Yes.
I don't think anyone else
Gate's
really.
coming back allegedly. I like that guy. I think it's.
I like Gate too.
Yeah. Whoa, we want to talk a little bit about the Fly roster. I brought out Turtle a little bit to talk about it.
What is
Wild
it?
Turtle, okay, Santorin,
Yep.
Conquan,
Okay.
Flame, and whoever they have for. Who do they have for?
Fly or Keen?
Oh, is it? They haven't announced their mid laner.
I assume they're getting an import mid laner because the rest of that roster is NA and then Flame.
Okay, so I don't know if they've. Is it Keen? It's Keen. Okay, so.
Yeah, Keen and Fly are out.
So Keen. No, Keen got it.
I mean, I think that roster's not going to make playoffs.
I think it'd be. I told them. I think it would be fortunate for them to make playoffs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, if Flame and Turtle have great splits and the rest of the team just supports them well, sure, they can maybe make playoffs, but that's just not enough firepower. Like, your jungle and your support are not known for being playmakers. Your mid laner is not known for being a playmaker. Your AD carry is known for being too much of a playmaker, and your top laner is known for, like, being best on an island. Like, I don't know.
Oh, Golden.
Oh, that's right. Golden Guardians with Mickey.
Yeah, people are hyping up Mickey so much to me. Literally, I talked to some people, and they're just like, you don't understand Mickey. I'm like, who's the best mid laners in the region? And they were just like, I think it's Mickey. And I'm like, what the f?
You're asking players in solo queue?
No, I'm asking like coaches. I'm just like, are you serious? He's like one of the best mid laners? They're like, no, seriously. I'm like, all right. So I'm getting a little bit hyped up, but I want to see it first.
I have no doubt Mickey is insanely talented. I just don't trust his decision making. He's so, like, I swear to God, watch the game that was CLG Black versus, or CLG Academy versus Team Liquid Academy, and watch him just, like, literally play the most aggressive Azir you have ever seen in the history of Azirs and throw the game. It's crazy to me. That, like, I can't imagine that guy in, like, a best of 5 against another top team not fucking your chances up.
You know, I heard actually he got some Korean offers.
He's, like, don't get me wrong, he's good. I believe how good he is, but, like,
I'm just saying, I'm interested in watching him play next season.
I hope Assassins come back. That'd be perfect for him. I don't want to see it over-aggressive Azir sex.
I want to see Zed. You know, I think there's a lot of players in all the major regions that are historically good Zed players. Actually, like, a ton of them. And I would just be like, okay, BD, if Zed becomes, back in, dude, people don't even remember BDD's Zed. I think it was his Zed that's what he was famous for.
Yeah.
He was ridiculous.
They're like those clips of, like, Faker's Echo versus BDD's Zed or whatever it was, and, like, this, like, insane, you know, assassin versus assassin matchup.
Yeah, like, there are so many good Zed players, actually.
Yeah. All right, you good to wrap it?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining in. I know this was really last minute, and we told you, like, a couple days ahead of time. I think we're just finalizing that there won't be any more GLT for MSI. Mm-hmm. We will be back for a July 4th.
July 4th special, NA player rating.
We will player rate every player in North America while intoxicated. I do not approve of anyone copying us. However, you guys should tune in to watch.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to do, but we're going to do it.
Yes, that describes a lot of what I do and a lot of what he does.
Yeah, people are like, I have my feet up and they're like, oh, feet, and then I put them down, they're like, shy, and I'm like, did you see my ASMR video? Like, do you think I'm shy?
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on July 4th. I'll probably have the VOD up soon-ish. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys loved it, because it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
I don't have a post show, so I'm going to do that and mute it.
Nice.